quickly prices may go back down. Now, they won't go fully back down to their pre-war price, again, because the seasonality would have pushed prices up by about 10 to 25 cents a liter. But the question is how quickly the situation is solved. So much is riding right now on what develops with the Strait of Hormuz. That is what you would look at to understand how much higher we'll go and how much longer prices will climb.
Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis for Gas Buddy, I thank you for your time.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Local news now. A VOCM news update.
This news presented by Robotham Mackay Marshall. If you've been injured in an accident, make the call today. 576-CALL.
At 8:30, we have some rain, the temperature 12, and winds are gusting to 70 over at the airport. Good morning. I'm Sarah Strickland. 5-Wing Goose Bay is set to undergo upgrades thanks to Ottawa's plans to enhance Arctic defense and infrastructure. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced $35 billion in spending towards NORAD modernization during a visit to the Northwest Territories yesterday. The plan is to upgrade military infrastructure in Yellowknife, Inuvik, Iqaluit, and Goose Bay by constructing new airfields, hangars, fuel facilities, and housing for personnel. Carney says Ottawa's plan will allow Canada to better defend its Arctic sovereignty.
With this plan, we are taking control of our future. We will no longer rely on others to defend our Arctic security or to fuel our economy. We're taking full responsibility for defending our sovereignty. And we are unleashing a range of new economic opportunities for the over 140,000 Northerners who will benefit from stronger, more connected communities, more opportunities, and a higher standard of living.
A modest increase in the price of gas this morning after what has been a turbulent week in terms of oil prices. Gas is up by 2.4 cents per liter across the province. The price of diesel, which saw a price drop yesterday, is up 6.7 cents on the island and up 7.2 cents in Labrador West. Furnace and stove oil, which was also marked down yesterday, is up about 6 cents this morning. Propane used for home heating increases by about 3 cents per liter. A company in Grand Falls, Windsor, and a supervisor are facing occupational health and safety charges after an employee may have suffered injuries due to a carbon monoxide exposure. The exposure is said to have happened nearly 2 years ago on April 9, 2024, at a work site in the town. Skur Enterprises is facing 8 charges in total, while the supervisor is facing 2. A full list of charges can be found online at VOCM.com. The company's first court appearance is scheduled for April 22nd in Grand Falls, Windsor Provincial Court. A 35-year-old man is facing charges for allegedly stealing items at the Village Shopping Centre yesterday. Police were called around 4 o'clock and spotted the man in question walking on Canada Drive. Officers discovered that the man had taken items from the store at the mall, as well as a vehicle parked nearby. The items were recovered, and the man was held to appear on charges of theft and breach of release order. Up next, your VOCM traffic and weather forecast.
Imagine this. You're running late when suddenly another car comes out of nowhere at Rollins Cross. Now you're headed to St. Clair's and worrying about a lot more than getting to work. Will you be okay, and how soon will you recover? Now imagine this. You call Robotham Mackay Marshall, Newfoundland and Labrador's largest personal injury law firm. You get answers, and one drive doesn't destroy your life. Injured in an accident? Get the compensation you deserve. Make the call. 709-INJURED.
When it's too cold outside, heat things up inside with Radio Bingo. Lions Club VOCM Cares Radio Bingo goes live every Saturday. It's your chance to win some serious cash while supporting local charities. This Saturday, the escalating jackpot is $5,781 with the consolation prize of $200 and another $3,000 guaranteed. To play, listen live to VOCM at 6 p.m. Time to heat up your Saturday. Cards are just $5. Visit VOCMcares.com and follow socials for updates.
This VOCM traffic is brought to you by Coal Air Contracting, your heating and cooling specialists. Call them today.
Good Friday morning. All right, just a reminder, about a half hour ago, we got a report of snow removal operations that were happening at the Walmart and Sobeys parking lot. And so there's some snow boulders that have been spilling out onto Kelsey Drive there, right by the Walmart and Sobeys parking lot. So if you're heading towards Kenmount Road there, be ready for it or avoid the area if possible. Some warm out. I love it. Why did I wear my winter coat today? Not necessary. And it's creating foggy conditions for drivers, reduced visibility. And the rainfall, of course, pooling water brings the risk of hydroplaning. So I always slow down. I really do. We've got, wet roads through the central region, maybe some slushy sections here and there. A lot of ice on the west coast and Great Northern Peninsula, seeing snow-covered conditions. The Legionnaire is sailing on the one-vessel schedule for Belle Island, Marine Atlantic. Warning of potential weather disruptions for tomorrow. That's your VOCM traffic. I'm Jerry Lynn Mackey.
This VOCM weather is brought to you by Vogue Optical, where your second pair is always free. Let Vogue Optical arrange your next eye exam today. Trust us, your eyes will thank you.
St. John's Metro, rest of the Avalon, RDF for today. Southwesterly winds 70, except gusting to 100 along the coast with a high of 13. Cloudy with skies clearing overnight. Westerly winds 50, a low of -5. And sun and cloud tomorrow, high of +1. Clarenville, central Newfoundland, rain changing to snow this afternoon, temperature falling to -2. Flurries will end, then clear skies for tonight. Westerlies will gust to 80 this evening, low -9, and sun and cloud for tomorrow, high -1. South coast, rain changing to flurries, westerlies gusting to 80, temperature falling to +2. Flurries will end overnight. Westerly winds 40, low -5, and sun and cloud tomorrow. Winds at 30 and a high of +3. And the west coast, southwest coast, northern peninsula, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow and ice pellets today with westerlies at 50, temperature down to -6. Flurries ending overnight. Westerly winds 40, low -8. And tomorrow, sun and cloud with a high of -2. Right now in St. John's, we have some light rain, the temperature at 11, and winds are gusting to 70 over at the airport. Back with an update just before 9 o'clock for VOCM News. I'm Sarah Strickland.
Good morning, Sarah. Thank you so much. Sarah Strickland in the VOCM newsroom for us this morning. It's 8:37 here on the program. I'm Russell with Jerry Lynn. Thanks for keeping us company on this Friday morning. So another week, another floor crossing MP in Ottawa. And although for a bit of variety this time it was an NDP member that chose to join the governing Liberals, meanwhile the Prime Minister called for a parliamentary debate on Canada's role in the conflict between the United States, Israel and Iran. However, he didn't show up for it. And just like that, Mark Carney is off again on another trade mission, this one to Norway. To catch up on the week, I'm joined by Laurie Turnbull, political science professor at Dalhousie University. Good morning, Laurie. How are you?
Good morning, Russell. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. So I want to ask a little bit about the initial blush. I know we're 12 days in, but Mark Carney had an initial misstep as it relates to the Iran-Iraq war in terms of Canada's commitment. He's tried to fix that up, blaming it on time zones. Where do you think Canada sits right now in terms of how much or how little it's involved in this dispute?
Well, I think that the Prime Minister's communications about it were not very carefully managed. I don't know what the time zone really has to do with it. It just seems to me that he was reacting. Like his initial statement where he came out and said that he was essentially supportive of the containment of Iran. It seemed to me there was a lot of nuance in that initial communication. But so is that he wasn't trying to be out front and saying that he was supportive of absolutely everything and he's giving a blank check to the U.S. kind of thing, but more we acknowledge that Iran is the bad guy here and we're going to line up behind the U.S. But then beyond that, comments about he can't rule out the possibility of Canada being involved, that's only going to create panic and people are going to want clarification on that. And the fact that a lot of people, have pointed out this is an illegal war, even within his own caucus, people don't like it. And so missteps for sure. Just seemed like this wasn't very well coordinated. I think we seem to be on a bit of a better footing now in the sense that, he's coming out and saying, no, we're not going to get involved. But what if Article 5 kicks in? So I don't know. I don't know where we stand at this point, to be honest. I don't know if we're any clearer, actually.
Yeah, and Britain tried to say that they were going to send some of their equipment, some of their ships into the fray, and it turns out half of them weren't ready. But it's interesting you mentioned that thing about some of the members of the Liberal caucus being upset with some aspects of the Carney agenda. I know he's got another MP that's joined the ranks, this one from the Liberal, from the NDP, Lucy Idlow. But there's also some of his MPs that have, sided with the NDP on a couple of things. And it seems like ever since he's got elected, he's one or two away from a majority, but here we are still one or two away. And it seems like he's got about 87 people across the floor. What do you think is the plan for this government, whether it gets a majority next week or whenever these by-elections are held? How do you think they'll govern over the next few months?
It seems to me that he's basically tried to govern as though he had a majority anyway. I mean, he was close. And Mark Carney doesn't strike me as a person who's terribly concerned with the exact composition of things in the House of Commons. I think a lot of the things that he does, including the trips abroad, setting up a major projects office, setting up Build Canada Homes, his major decision points are not inside Parliament anyway. I mean, he needs Parliament to get some stuff done. He needs it to get legislation through. But it seems to me like even when he passed he managed to get the One Canada Economy or One Canadian Economy Act through, which then enables the process around the major projects. Once you get the legislation through once, you don't have to keep putting the projects through, right? Like they'll be put through somewhere else. So it just seems to me he's kind of managing Parliament anyway. And if he's got the majority, even if it's a small one, it just makes it much easier for him to do that. He knows he'll get his legislation through. He knows he won't end up losing confidence, which I think he's not really worried about anyway. I mean, given the polls, that's kind of the legitimacy of a majority anyway, really. I mean, I get, there's nothing quite like having most of the seats, but the fact that he's up around 46%, 49%, depending on what poll you look at, the Conservatives, the last thing they want to do is go to election now. And so I think he's in the clear for a while.
In terms of style, France has a president and a prime minister. It's a republic, but the prime minister tends to handle more of the domestic affairs. That's my understanding of it. And the president, who we know internationally, Emmanuel Macron, handles more of the foreign things. Is Mark Carney's prime ministerialship more presidential than prime ministerial?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of evidence of that, actually. I mean, definitely, I agree with your assertion that there seems to be a kind of splitting between domestic and foreign issues. And even on Monday when they had the debate, the Liberals were the ones who called it. It's not like the opposition was the one who put up the idea to have a debate on Canada's, position and role in the Iran situation. It was the Liberals who did that, but he still didn't show up. And the messaging from the Liberals on the, the panels and stuff like that, from the people who are there to speak on behalf of the Liberals, was basically, the whole situation was in good hands with Anita Anand. Yeah, okay, she's not the prime minister, but I think that the point you're making is very accurate. That he seems to be willing to delegate some things, especially when it comes to, what's happening in the House of Commons. And I think there's other aspects you can point to as well. He sees himself as a president, he sees himself as a CEO. He's like, that seems to be the role he's taking. That's the approach he's taking.
And as long as Donald Trump and international conflicts tend to dominate the political sphere, both at home and abroad, that's what Canadians will be focused on. Who's going to best handle that situation?
100%. And there's some really interesting reporting out of Politico this morning about how Pierre Poilievre really hasn't managed that relationship with the U.S. at all, right? Like he's been encouraged many times, go down to Washington, make some friends, figure this out, look prime ministerial. And he hasn't done it. And now he's trying to do it, and it might be too late.
You know what? It's too late. It's actually too bad that we've got to wrap up. Time's not our friend. But Laurie Turnbull, always an education when you drop in. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and weekend. And hopefully we will talk again soon.
That sounds good. Thanks, Russell.
All the best. It's 8:44 here on your VOCM Mornings.
In winter, there's nothing like a home-cooked meal. Hi, I'm Peter.
And I'm Elaine from the Take Charge team.
One way to take charge of energy savings in the kitchen is by cooking with smaller appliances.
Instead of using the oven or stovetop, try an air fryer or slow cooker.
Electric kettle?
You read my mind.
2 cups of tea coming up.
Find more ways to take charge of your energy savings at takechargenl.ca.
At Lane's Retirement Living, it's more than a place to stay. It's a lifestyle built on independence, connection, and dignity. It's where every day feels like home. Our team is here to help you live your best life while respecting who you are and how you choose to live. Enjoy meaningful connections, peace of mind, and the freedom to thrive, all in one welcoming community. Lane's Retirement Living, where comfort meets care and life is lived fully. Visit lanesretirementliving.com or call Mary at 709-895-2637.
Cohen's March Flyer is here. Last chance on stylish glass end tables starting at just $149.99. And save $600 on a Samsung laundry pair, now only $1399.98. Don't miss out. See all the new Flyer arrivals in store or on Reeby and Flip. Cohen's, where the home is.
Akita Equipment is hiring. They're looking for long-haul drivers based out of Newfoundland and Labrador for Canada only and cross-border positions. You'll earn 60 cents per mile, and paid medical and dental starts immediately for cross-border drivers. They're also looking for owner-operators both in Canada and U.S. qualified drivers. And Akita Equipment is hiring local St. John's-based drivers, mechanics, garage staff mechanics, and apprentices. Email your resume today to chris@akitaequipment.com.
At the Uniform Shop, they're more than just a store. They're your local partner. For 20 years, they've proudly supplied Newfoundland's nurses, chefs, vets, and dental pros with uniforms that work as hard as they do. The Uniform Shop's knowledgeable staff will help you find exactly what you need from their large in-stock inventory. From a single set of scrubs to custom branded wear for your entire staff, they provide the quality you deserve. Visit the Uniform Shop at 69 Elizabeth Avenue in St. John's, where professionals shop local.
If you use a CPAP machine, you know it transforms your life. But is it time now to replace your CPAP? If your CPAP is 5 years or older, Horizon Air will buy it for $300 when you purchase one of their new CPAP machines. Use it against your insurance deductible, and your new CPAP could cost surprisingly little. Call today for details. 709-368-7600.
Horizon Air, helping you breathe easy.
278 Kenmount Road.
There's one marketplace built for Newfoundland and Labrador. NLP Marketplace. Explore verified dealer inventory for power sports, marine, and RVs, all in one trusted destination. Visit nlpmarketplace.ca. One province, one marketplace. That's right. There's one marketplace built for Newfoundland and Labrador. NLP Marketplace. Explore verified dealer inventory for power sports, marine, and RVs, all in one trusted destination. Visit nlpmarketplace.ca. One province, one marketplace.
Things are revving up for Truck Month at Terra Nova GMC Buick. On now, get 0% financing for 72 months, plus a $1,500 trade-in bonus on a 2026 GMC Sierra 1500. That's right, 0%, 72 months, and an extra $1,500 for your trade. Whether you're hauling equipment to the job site or towing toys for weekend escapes, the 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 delivers power, capability, and confidence to own the road. Test drive yours today at Terra Nova GMC Buick, 595 Kenmount Road in St. John's, where the savings are built as tough as the trucks.
At Eastlink, we know they will click that link.
Mom?
Yep, that one. Eastlink's internet security. For every click, for free. Part of our Wi-Fi guarantee. Conditions apply.
This VOCM weather is brought to you by Vogue Optical, where your second pair is always free. Let Vogue Optical arrange your next eye exam today. Trust us, your eyes will thank you.
And for Friday, it's rain, drizzle, and fog for St. John's, the metro area, as well as the entire Avalon. Brisk winds today. They'll be gusting to 100 kilometers an hour along the coast, and a high today of 13 degrees. Things will clear up overnight. Tomorrow, making way for sun and cloud. For Clarenville and central Newfoundland today, it's rain changing to snow this afternoon. The temperature will fall to -2. Flurries should end overnight, and tomorrow it'll make way for sun and cloud. For the south coast, it's rain changing to flurries as well today. Winds will be quite high, gusting to 80 kilometers an hour today. The temperature falling to +2, with flurries overnight, making way for sun and cloud on Saturday. And for the west coast, the southwest coast, and the northern peninsula, it's 10 to 15 centimeters of snow throughout the day today, as well as ice pellets. The temperature falling to -6. Flurries should end overnight, and tomorrow we'll see a high of -2 and sun and cloud for Saturday.
Get in the queue for the province's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line starts at 9, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. VOCM.
It is 10:09, and we could not clue up this week without having this conversation. St. Patrick's Day weekend is almost here. It's the perfect time for our community to come together for a great cause, and I'm full of good ideas. This Sunday, VOCM Cares is hosting its Pack the Pub event at the Newfoundland Embassy. It's all in support of the Community Food Sharing Association, which, of course, supplies food banks across the entire province. So here to tell us all about this festive fundraiser, it's Development Coordinator for VOCM Cares, making her media debut here. It's Erin Collett. Good morning, Erin.
Good morning, Jerry Lynn. How are you?
Wonderful. It's great to have you here with us. Let's just start at the beginning. Tell us what people can expect if they come down to the Newfoundland Embassy on Sunday.
Okay, perfect. So this will actually be my first time attending, so I am excited. But from what I hear, there's lots of live music, of course, great food, and an afternoon of community support. So, I mean, everybody knows Lars' famous custard cones. From what I understand, I may need to learn how to pour a custard cone.
Yes.
It could be fun. But yeah, lots of live music and community support for sure.
Erin, how does the support raised at this event directly help families across the province?
That's a great question. The Community Food Sharing Association is the sole distribution center for more than 60 food banks across our province. So right across Newfoundland and Labrador. And if you look at statistics from 2025, the Community Food Sharing Association distributed more than 5 million pounds of food province-wide. It just really shows the need, and the need continues to grow, for sure.
Wow. And this fun St. Patrick's Day theme, I mean, what makes this a great way for people to celebrate while also giving back?
I mean, St. Patrick's Day, it's a perfect reason to get together. Friends, family, everybody come out, show support. You know, St. Patrick's Day can be the reason to get you out of the door and into the pub. But, there's lots of reasons to stick around and support the Community Food Sharing Association.
What kind of donations are we hoping to see on Sunday? Non-perishable food or money, or what do you think?
A bit of both. Last year, they raised VOCM Cares and VOCM and the Newfoundland Embassy raised over $2,700 and brought in 623 pounds of food. So, yeah.
Wow. See, it's such a point of pride working here. Erin, what time does everything get started on Sunday, and where exactly is the Newfoundland Embassy?
Okay, perfect. So we are going to be there between 12 and 4 p.m. on Sunday. And the Newfoundland Embassy Pub and Eatery is down on New Gower Street, right next door to the Convention Center. So.
And if anyone can't make it to the event on Sunday, but they still want to contribute, is there a way they can do that?
Absolutely. So if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, you can find a QR code or a donation link there. And of course, you can donate both on Sunday at Pack the Pub.
Erin Collett, Development Coordinator at VOCM Cares. You've made it through your first media interview with us. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Be sure to drop by and say hello.
We'll see you Sunday. Well, I'll see you later today at work, of course, but also on Sunday. Russell and I will be there as well.
Yeah, we'll be broadcasting live from the event on Sunday as well, so make sure you drop in and say hello. In the meantime, we got Brian Callahan in the big chair. He's ready for Open Line in just a few moments. He'll take your call shortly. He's up after the news, and that's next on your VOCM Mornings.
VOCM's in the community. Brought to you by Noodle Nami. Noodle Nami, Churchill Square. Just the way you like it.
Monday getting you down? Flip the script on your week. Head to Noodle Nami on the lower level of Churchill Square for their legendary all-you-can-eat Mondays for just $28.95 per person. Enjoy unlimited delicious sushi and appetizers, all fresh and made to order. From classic rolls to savory gyoza, it's a feast that can't be beat. Craving something else? Warm up with a bowl of their delicious, authentic ramen. Forget the Monday blues and dive into flavor. Find them on the lower level of Churchill Square. No reservations needed. Follow Noodle Nami on Facebook.
I'm Claudette Barnes in your community. Are you ready for an evening of fun, community, and delicious treats? The Virginia Park Community Center is hosting its second annual Dessert Dash, a dessert auction fundraiser where every bid helps a great cause. This event takes place on Monday, March 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. at St. Mark's Anglican Church. Guests will enjoy a small meal, have the chance to win door prizes, and can capture memories at the photo booth. It's the perfect way to support your community while satisfying your sweet tooth. Tickets are just $15 each, but they must be purchased by Wednesday, March 18th. For more information, contact Sydney at 709-579-4534, extension 203. That's 709-579-4534, extension 203. Or find Virginia Park Community Center on Facebook.
Local news now. A VOCM news update. Brought to you by the biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador. Weekdays at 9 a.m. VOCM Open Line.
At 5 to 9, we have some rain in Metro, temperature at 11, and winds are gusting to about 70 over at the airport. Good morning. I'm Sarah Strickland. The hammer has come down on the teams involved in that St. John's Junior Hockey League brawl in the Goulds on the weekend. Hundreds of minutes and penalties were handed out, and the game was called before the clock ran out. The Southern Shore Breakers were hosting the St. John's Caps when the melee broke out. The Caps were awarded the game and moved on to the next round of the playoffs, while the Breakers' season came to an end. 12 players and the head coach of the Breakers were suspended for a total of 45 games, which will be served at the beginning of next season, while 6 Caps players will sit out a total of 8 games during the playoffs. No financial penalties were administered. The RNC is investigating off-ice activities that day, which may or may not be related to the brawl. A company in Grand Falls, Windsor, and a supervisor are facing occupational health and safety charges after an employee may have suffered injuries due to a carbon monoxide exposure. The exposure is said to have happened nearly 2 years ago on April 9, 2024, at a work site in the town. Skur Enterprises is facing 8 charges in total, while the supervisor is facing 2. A full list of the charges can be found online at VOCM.com. The company's first court appearance is scheduled for April 22nd in Grand Falls, Windsor Provincial Court. A 35-year-old man is facing charges for allegedly stealing items at the Village Shopping Centre yesterday. Police were called around 4 o'clock and spotted the man in question walking on Canada Drive. Officers discovered that the man had taken items from a store at the mall, as well as a vehicle parked nearby. The items were recovered, and the man was held to appear on charges of theft and breach of release order. Up next, your VOCM traffic and weather forecast.
My name is Steve Scruton, and I'm a partner at McGilvery Injury Law. While I was born and raised in St. John's, I've been lucky enough to have my work as a lawyer take me all across the province. I joined McGilvery Law to help injured people in Newfoundland and Labrador get fair compensation when they've been injured or had their disability claim denied. There's nothing more rewarding than knowing my skills and hard work help people get back to their lives.
McGilvery Injury Law, Newfoundland and Labrador's trusted name for injury victims and people denied disability.
At Royal Cleaners, we believe in more than just cleaning. We believe in building lasting relationships with our clients. We create tailored solutions to fit your needs and budget. Whether it's commercial or residential, our friendly team treats your space with care, giving you more time in your day. Visit royalcleaners.ca or call 709-552-0000. Royal Cleaners, where relationships, confidence, and personalized service matter.
VOCM Traffic, brought to you by Island Furniture. Join them for their March into Comfort sale with special pricing on living room, bedroom, dining, and more. Island Furniture, style with purpose.
It's Friday. That's glorious. In other news, it's very warm in the metro area, which is creating foggy conditions for drivers all throughout the morning. And then the rainfall. Pooling water means the risk of hydroplaning is very real and ever present. I always slow it down because I cannot stand the sound of water hitting the bottom of the vehicle. I have trauma from hydroplaning. I really do. I don't like it. All right, we've got wet roads through the central region this morning, maybe some slush here and there as it's a bit colder. It's starting to warm up on the west coast, so hopefully that ice problem is fading in the rear view, but it is snow covered, and there are wet roads now for parts of the west coast. Still some partly covered, icy covered roads for the Great Northern Peninsula. Marine Atlantic, they're not sailing at 11:45 this morning, and they're warning of potential disruptions to the schedule for tomorrow. That's your VOCM traffic. I'm Jerry Lynn Mackey.
This VOCM weather is brought to you by Vogue Optical, where your second pair is always free. Let Vogue Optical arrange your next eye exam today. Trust us, your eyes will thank you.
St. John's Metro, rest of the Avalon, RDF for today, southwesterly 70, except gusting to 100 along the coast with a high of 13. Cloudy this evening, skies will clear up overnight, westerly winds 50, low -5. Clarenville, central Newfoundland, rain changing to snow this afternoon, the temperature falling to -2. Flurries ending, then clear skies for the rest of the evening. Westerly winds gusting to 80 in the evening and a low of -9. South coast, rain changing to flurries. Westerly winds gusting to 80, temperature falling to +2. Flurries will end overnight. Westerly winds 40 and a low of -5. And the west coast, southwest coast, northern peninsula, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow and ice pellets today. Westerlies 50, temperature down to -6. Flurries will end overnight. Westerlies 40 and a low of -8. Right now in St. John's, we have some rain, the temperature 11, and winds are gusting to about 65 at the airport. Back with an update at 10 o'clock for VOCM News. I'm Sarah Strickland.
This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
And good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome to Open Line. Brian Callahan here, hosting the show with David Williams behind the scenes at the controls. He'll be your first point of contact when you call the numbers, 709-273-5211. Long distance, 1-888-590-VOCM, a.k.a. 8626. Or if you prefer, open line at vocm.com. You want to flick us a quick note and then follow up later, of course, with a phone call. And yes, it is Friday, in case you lost track. But who's kidding who? It's Friday. Friday the 13th, actually. I'm not the most superstitious person in the world, Dave, but, you know, I'll avoid walking under a ladder, that's for sure, if I can. Or when there's scaffolding along a sidewalk or something like that, I'll go around it if I can. But I will say this, I have one large black coffee at some point during the morning, every morning, which I purchase from a well-known establishment. And since this current round of rolling up rims, not one winner in the last few weeks, not one winner, not even a free coffee until, you guessed it, today, Friday the 13th. So go figure. And yeah, so downright tropical here in the metro area today, 13 degrees when I came in. I think it's still hovering around that, above 10. When I came in a couple of hours ago, and some monsoon-like rainfall to go with it for good measure. So keep an eye on the hydroplaning, folks. You know, you see those ruts. I don't know how good we are, all talented and great drivers that we can ride in between them. But yeah, not for the faint of heart. So keep that in mind, especially up on the ORR or anywhere else you may be traversing today. But wait for it, because by midnight tonight here in the metro anywhere, we'll be back below zero. So nice day tomorrow by the looks of it, and then get smacked again overnight Saturday into Sunday morning, looking at about 15 centimeters or so for Metro overnight from Saturday into Sunday. Meanwhile, wind warnings all over the place, winter storm warnings today for the West Coast. They're getting blasted again today. So not quite through this one yet, and nor, you know, would anyone expect us to be in the middle of March. Lots more info, of course, on the weather, more detailed breakdowns and stuff in our news, and of course over at VOCM.com. And so a big one tonight at the World Baseball Classic in Houston, featuring another edition of the, dare I say, heated rivalry. I'll leave that one there. The Americans, one of the faves going in, of course, along with Japan and maybe the Dominican, I'd say. Those are the top three, kind of considered a little bit above the rest, but the Americans are only into the quarters thanks to the Italians, who upset the U.S. earlier this week and then demolished Mexico 9-1. And that allowed the U.S. to advance. I see some of the socials and the Italians having a lot of fun with that. There some postings on socials, you know, saying, "You're welcome, U.S.," and this kind of stuff. And the Italians were just having a ball. You could tell. Don't know if you saw this. They had an espresso machine in the dugout. So, you know, this is how they celebrate their home runs. They come in, they pour up an espresso. Hilarious to see it. And, you know, Italian-style home runs, I guess. And then they have a shot of espresso, and then they give the kiss on each cheek, and away they go. Hilarious. So another edition in another sport of Canada versus U.S. Boy, there's been a lot of that lately. Maybe we can avenge those losses in the Olympic hockey and recent soccer by taking them out in baseball. That'd be something. I mean, this is the farthest Canada's ever made it to the World Baseball Classic in its 20-year existence. So, and of course, the U.S. are trying to avenge their loss in the final last year to Otani and the Japanese. So, best on best, game time tonight, 9:30 Newfoundland time. And how about Victoria Mboko, the Canadian teenage tennis phenom? Gave the world number one Sabalenka a run for her money yesterday. And if it wasn't for some unforced errors in early in the tiebreak in the first set, I think she could have had it. You know, when you get Sabalenka under a bit of pressure, you see the frustration. She starts fighting with herself over things and complaining about this and the big old grunts with every serve. You know, and not a peep out of Mboko, because at her age, she's punching above her weight in every measure, maturity and poise and you name it. But it seems the pressure might have been a bit too much this time around. This is in Indian Wells, by the way. Not a Grand Slam, but a close thing to it to set up for the Grand Slams that are coming. Indian Wells, California. Yeah, but she's only getting better by the day. Look out for her in the Grand Slams this year. And speaking of Grand Slams, the PGA, the championship, first Grand Slam of the year in golf, professional golf, is underway in Florida at the TPC Sawgrass. And let's see, going into the second round, leaders are at 5 under. Canadian Corey Connors in the mix, just a couple of strokes back. But world number one, Scotty Scheffler, just lurking. I think he's 5 back, but I mean, you know, just haven't even started the second round. So he's got lots of time. Watch out for him. And a check-in on the Paralympics. Canada's overall medal count still holding at 10, 1, 3, and 6. So 1 gold, 3 silver, 6 bronze. Liam Hickey and Team Canada into the semis today versus China, while the U.S. and Czechia go at it in the other. Of course, we're all looking. We know what Canada has their sights set on, that gold, avenging a few losses to the U.S. And our curlers, I haven't mentioned their names, but skip Mike Idison, second Ina Forrest, third John Thurston, lead Colinda Joseph, and alternate Gil Dash. They raised their record to 9-0. They were unbeaten going into the semifinal today. And just before I came on the air, I had a look, and they were down 7-5 going into the eighth end without Last Rock. So I was like, oh, God, they don't have Last Rock. They're down by 2. It's going to be some bad news. And then lo and behold, just before I went on the air, I refreshed my screen, and they pulled it out. They beat South Korea 8-7. I mean, it would have been a really horrible, disappointing loss if they would go unbeaten and then to lose in the semis. But nope, they pulled that one out. So they're into the final. And the other semi is, China and Sweden. They'll battle it out. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so small increase in the price of gas today. A small increase following the big drop in diesel yesterday. So some big fuel fluctuations occurring. Certainly not unexpected with everything that's going on, but maybe a bit surprising. I was bracing for a big spike in gas today. I didn't see it just minimal. These are, normal little minimal spikes that we'll see from week to week. But given the situation in the Mideast isn't getting any better, and the deliveries of oil from that area, some of them which departed before the current war are just arriving really at their destinations in a lot of places. And now, so there's a 2-week gap in the next deliveries. So that's not good. And that's really what a lot of analysts and war watchers are expecting, that the worst is yet to come as long as this drags on, which only makes sense. I have to say, wouldn't it be lovely to have a spokesperson from the Public Utilities Board at our disposal this morning to just come on and tell us why this is happening, why they did what they did this week, or what they might do in the next week. I mean, no one can predict the future, of course, but at least to, explain the things that they do in the real time, such as today's changes or yesterday's changes, just to give us some insight. We're not looking for private inside info. We just want to know what the modus operandi is, like what drives it. Why only 2 cents today when we see diesel go down like the spike yesterday? I mean, we're not all in that world. So of the trading of Brent crude and whatever. So I just throw that out there. I know that's always been a bone of contention, not just here on this show, but in the newsrooms around the province as well. Not being able to have a communications person that we can just lean on every now and then to give us a first-hand account of why they're doing what they're doing. But there you go. That's my rant for that. And let's see, staying on that, Trump claiming we won. I don't know what that means. Call me crazy and correct me if I'm wrong, but Hormuz is still not Hormoving. Tankers are still being hit and burning, mines still being laid, missiles still being fired into the neighboring states of Iran. Iran says they're only targeting U.S. bases, but we know. And there was even a Canadian base that was targeted. But Carney was pressed yesterday, the Prime Minister, about what happened there. He didn't really get into a lot of details. Suffice to only to say that no one was injured, but not a lot of other detail about what happened there. And he reaffirmed and reasserted that Canada is not involved in any kind of offensive involving this war. And he made a major point of stating that on the record. So we know where their thinking is there. And we also know, it's not just, Iran says just the bases, not at all. Hotels, apartment buildings in Bahrain, Dubai, Qatar, and others. Interesting, though, the Saudis, of course, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I mean, they planned for this very eventuality. They built a pipeline to the Red Sea a long time ago as a backup to bypass the Strait in just for this very reason, because there's so much riding on the Strait of Hormuz and the 20 to 30, some say 40% of oil that passes through there. And, of course, not just oil. We talked the other day about all the other issues around fertilizer and ammonia and food and water and everything else, all the supplies that come through as a result of what comes through that strait. So it can only handle so much, but this is another option, and we'll see if that does anything to relieve the pressure on the demand that's pent up. And while we haven't actually seen or heard from him, the new supreme leader, the son of the former one of Iran, did issue a statement saying that, yes, indeed, Hormuz is being used as a, quote, tool of pressure in the war. Still many questions about a missile that hit an elementary girls' school. This one's horrible. I mean, this was on the first day of the war, killed about 170 people, mostly students, mostly kids, and neither a yes or no or a peep from the U.S. on it. We're still looking into it. We're investigating, and that speaks volumes, if you ask me. And, of course, there's more calls for the government here, the provincial government, to step in and cut the provincial portion of the gas tax as the prices continue to spiral. The barrel of oil of Brent is back over 100. So anyway, as I've always said on this program, I've got a ton of other topics here I can get into, and I'm willing to. I won't probably touch on everything you're waiting for me to do, so I rely on the callers to do that for me. But as long as I have callers, I'm going to take them, and my first one's there. And we're going to go right to line number one. And Bob Buckingham, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Bob. Thanks very much for making time for the show. So I know I'm sure you're in and out of the courts all day today, so I know your time is probably precious. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, we saw yesterday news out of the courts where a third party now is involved and may be able to top up the settlement, for... Well, the suit against certainly the Roman Catholic Archdiocese and everything that's been going on in the courts, that to settle the abuse claims from Mount Cashel. What can you tell me?
Brian, do you have a few minutes for some background on it?
Yes, sure, go.
Okay, so yesterday's news comes about as a part of a long process that started way back in the 1990s when myself and Jeff Budden were putting together some lawsuits against the church, the Roman Catholic Episcopal Corporation, or the Roman Catholic Church in St. John's. And so then some lawsuits were filed in 1999 and in the end, their way through the courts. So look, we've been at it a long time. And we were successful at the Newfoundland Court of Appeal, finally, of getting that lawsuit approved. They were denied at the trial division. And so then just to put things in perspective, this is 2026. In July of 2020, the Newfoundland Court of Appeal approved the lawsuits, and then the church appealed that to the Supreme Court of Canada in January of 2021, and then the church, the Supreme Court of Canada refused leave to appeal. So that brought the matter back to here, and then we started the process. We had quite a few people impacted by this. We had a number of test cases. And so then the church, when we did an assessment of the cases, it turned out that they were worth a significant amount of money, and the church wondered if it had proper assets to meet those tests, to meet those awards. And so then the church filed for bankruptcy because of the high number of claims and the value of them and their assets. And then that was in 2021. And then in May of 2022, just 5 months later, the church itself then moved the bankruptcy proceedings into a protection under some legislation in Canada called the Companies Creditors Arrangement Act. And we've been there ever since. Now, the Company Creditors Arrangement Act provides an organization that's going into bankruptcy or could go into bankruptcy an opportunity to arrange its affairs, and we've been dealing with that ever since. And so now we have, over 300 claimants in this process. The total value of the claims of these 300 survivors is $120 million. We have sold off the church assets, and that has brought in only $50 million. And so we're $70 million short in terms of trying to get money into the survivors' hands. And that's where we are now.
Well, and that's important background. I just wanted to say I appreciate the concise background. Go ahead, Bob.
And so that brings us to this stage. And so we have continued our efforts to find ways of getting more money into the survivors. And so I do want to say that the lead counsel on this, the guy who has been handling this and stick handling this for the most part, is Jeff Budden of Budden Associates. We work closely together. He deserves the lion's share of the credit on this side. I must say, his initiative and insight has been fundamental in terms of moving this forward.
And just so you know too, Bob, like I've been in touch with Jeff all week. He's been in Toronto, as you probably know, and pretty busy. So, I reached out to you as a result of that, and I'm sure Jeff's aware. But anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, here we are. So there are other people involved in who could under the Act, under the Bankruptcy Act, if people have interest in this, they can. I won't get into all the nuanced details of the Bankruptcy Act. In fact, I'm not sure of all of them. We have bankruptcy experts on this. Other people can come in, other organizations can come in and contribute, and that would take care of their debt if they have a liability. And in this case, we think a half dozen organizations who are also liable and should come in and contribute. And so for the last year or so, we've had negotiations with one of those parties. They've been ongoing. They've been, thorough. And we finally reached an understanding with them this week, and they will be contributing money to the process. This is and as I said in court yesterday, this is a significant step forward. It is in my position, it's the second most significant step in this process, since the Supreme Court of Canada said to us, look, and denied the church's appeal, and said, go back and deal with these lawsuits. Because now we're going to have a contribution of funds into this bankruptcy process, and we'll be able to distribute those funds to individuals who were in schools and are abused within that process.
Bob, why can't we name the third party?
Well, because the two things. One, the final dot in the I hasn't been signed yet in terms of the paperwork, and a third party has asked us not to make that known until we file the proper application in the court, which is going to be heard on hopefully on April the 24th.
Is this in any? Yeah, go ahead.
We decided to honor that request from the third party.
Is this in any way related? Is there, when you talk about this other party and these other parties, is it in any way related to the $30 million settlement announced in British Columbia this week involving Vancouver College and St. Thomas More Collegiate and the abusers who were transferred out of Newfoundland and Labrador to the West Coast?
No, not at all. And so those are separate and distinct actions. The Vancouver one is separate and distinct, absolutely and totally and completely from what we've been doing here, and has nothing to do with that. The Vancouver events are interesting. The settlement is interesting. But without going down that rabbit hole analysis of that, I can say that this decision has nothing to do with that. And the third party here is not involved in any way as a party with the Vancouver settlement.
Okay. And just so I know, and others know, we know, as you just went through the background, this dates back. I mean, this has been in the courts for a long time. As you know, I try to get in and out to these, but we never know for sure when there's going to be some movement. And I don't need to tell you how busy the courts are. And one reporter from it's hard to get around all the courtrooms. So I watch it, and I see it on the docket a lot, and I try to get there. But for people who don't even have that level of knowledge of it, is there a point where this concludes, like finally concludes?
Yes. Yes, it will conclude when we get the $120 million, so that money can be distributed to the survivors. And so just let me deal with that for a second. The matter goes back into court because the church is in bankruptcy, okay, and under the protection of the CCAA. The church wants to get out of that protection, deal with its affairs, go be declared bankrupt, and then get on with its next organization. So they've set up another organization to continue on in both a religious and secular manner. So here's what the other thing that's happening here, which is significant, is the church had insurance policies, and which were to cover situations of this circumstance, and the insurance companies decided not to pay the liabilities, and the insurance companies took the position, especially one of them, which is leading the battle on this guardian insurance, that look, you did not tell us your priests and associated brothers and the Roman Catholic, like Irish Christian brothers, were abusing boys and girls, and if you had told us, we would not have sued you, we would not have insured you. And they decided not to pay. The church, then took the insurance companies to court. They lost at the first instance. The church lost at the first instance, and the insurance companies, the court ruled they didn't have to pay. And then, so the church appealed that in many ways at our insistence, because we were the creditors, and our clients were the survivors and going to be the beneficiaries and recipients of this insurance policy. And then that went to the Supreme Court, the Newfoundland Court of Appeal, there in December. And so we argued that in December. Now that the church was the main appellant there, we intervened. Jeff and I retained counsel who were familiar with these issues and spent a lot of time in the Supreme Court of Canada. And they represented us at that hearing, and we're now waiting for a decision from our Court of Appeal. Now let me tell you, you talk about when is it going to end?
Yeah, and I know that was a loaded question. I got about a minute left, Bob. I'm real sorry. Go for it.
Okay. Whoever loses in the Court of Appeal is going to go to the Supreme Court of Canada. So we're looking at 2 years on that.
Wow.
So Brian,
yeah.
We're going to be at it for a while. Let me tell you, this yesterday's decision, the amount that the third party is contributing is significant. It's going to be money into the survivors' pockets. We hope to have that money into their pockets in August. So it's going to take some time to move that along. So that's the for the survivors here. That's the important issue. Hopefully by August we'll have money into their pockets, another contribution. They've already received an initial contribution under what they're totally entitled to. Now this will be a second one.
And the amounts,
we're really quite happy with that.
And the amounts vary, don't they, across the board? I was going to ask you what's the average payout, but is there an average, or is it just really run the gamut?
It runs the gamut. I'm thinking, don't. I can't tell you what the average is, but it's in a couple of 100,000 range.
Okay. Bob, look, I appreciate the time. Only words to show and other callers. I knew it wouldn't be the easiest thing to condense this, but look, I appreciate the update on it, and a lot of inquiring minds want to know. I got enough questions about it, and it's tangly. It goes back, and we all know the issues involved, and the court process is not simple in this. So I appreciate the time and all the work on it, and I look forward to an update from you or Jeff in the very near future.
Brian, look, I thank you for your interest. I thank you for indulging me in giving the background because I wanted to take this opportunity to do it. And but at the end of the day, the important thing is a significant amount of money coming in, and it's going to be money in survivors' pockets in August or so.
Absolutely. The context of it is all important. Thanks again, Bob. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for letting the public know about this. It's important.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks.
Bye.
All right, Bob Buckingham there. Important stuff, important background, as Bob mentioned. Let's get off to that break. A little overdue. We'll be right back.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
As you get up and get moving, VOCM News is already ahead of the day. Your first news of the morning starts at 5:30 weekdays and again at 6 and 6:30. Breaking headlines. What's happening here at home and around the world. Be first in the know with the station that's first with the news. Brought to you by Driveline, Mr. Transmission. Only on your VOCM.
We're here with one of Planet Fitness's Black Card members. How are you feeling?
Oh, pretty wiped, but I've got my eye on the hydro massage beds.
It felt like a real team effort out there.
Oh, bringing a guest to every workout? Game changer.
Any other perks you want to tell the nation about?
2 big ones, worldwide access and red light technology.
Wow, this place really has it all. Back to you in the studio.
Get your first month free with a PF Black Card. Get started for $1 enrollment, then $29.99 a month. Deal ends March 13th. $49 annual fee applies.
The chilly weather is upon us. It's time for more enjoyment indoors, so make your home even more inviting with Mount Carmel Building Supplies. Stay warm and cozy with their selection of wood stoves and prefab chimneys. Change your home's feel with new flooring, molding, and trim, and a wide selection of interior doors. And brighten any room with interior paints and painting supplies. You'll find everything for your indoor renovations at Mount Carmel Building Supplies. 709-521-2730.
H&R Block tax experts get tax refunds for more Canadians. More times than I can say, I make my money mouthing marketing manuscripts. I make my money mouthing marketing manuscripts. I make my money mouthing marketing manuscripts. I earn my money, and you earn yours. We should all keep more of it. File with an H&R Block tax expert in person or remotely today and get the refund you deserve. You owe it to you, and I owe it to me. Results vary. See hrblock.ca for details.
A locally owned and operated franchise in Carbonear, Bay Roberts, and Whitburn.
Welcome to Orem Homes, St. John's newest seniors personal care home and independent living, where all-inclusive living means more of what you love. Catch a movie in our theater with friends, enjoy a fresh coffee in Rita's Cafe, cheer on your team in the Clubhouse Sports Bar, or unwind with a good book in the library. Here, comfort meets community, and every detail is taken care of. Call today to reserve your suite, 709-533-3321. Orem Homes, St. John's, the best place to live.
It's Subway's Lunch, Not Luck, where it's a win every day of the week. What's the win? Take it away, Kyle.
It's Subway's Meal of the Day, only $8.99. A 6-inch sub, a drink and chips, or 2 cookies. Enjoy a different sub every day, like pizza sub melt on Monday, cold cut combo on Wednesday, or even sweet onion chicken teriyaki on Sunday.
That's right. 7 days, 7 meals, $8.99 each. Subway's Meal of the Day. Winning isn't luck, it's lunch.
Price and participation may vary. Extras, bottled beverages, taxes, and fees for delivery additional.
March is Pharmacy Appreciation Month. Pharmacists are the friendly faces of your day-to-day healthcare, helping you manage all kinds of common ailments and chronic conditions. In community pharmacies and hospitals, pharmacists provide safe, quality, and effective healthcare services. Show your appreciation by nominating your community or hospital pharmacist or pharmacy team for the Pharmacist of the Year award. Visit PANL.net for details.
Winter in our province can bring just about anything. Snow, rain, wind, ice. Make sure you're ready with a visit to Avalon Industrial in Bay Roberts and Carbonear. Find a large selection of V-belts for snowblowers, bearings for ATVs and trailers, and hydraulic hoses for snowplows. They also have a great stock of welding supplies, including all the steel you need for your next project. On-site welding is available, and they have a fully equipped machine shop. Get winter jobs done with Avalon Industrial in Bay Roberts and Carbonear.
VOCM Open Line is brought to you by Janes and Noseworthy, licensed insolvency trustees. It's okay to get help with your debt, and finding someone local you can trust makes all the difference.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. Frog in the throat. Let's go right to line number 2. And Sheila O'Leary, you're on the air.
Awesome. Good morning, Brian, and happy St. Paddy's Day weekend to all the listeners out there. Certainly looking to And of course, I don't want Sheila's brush to impact anybody as well. Let's hope that doesn't come in.
I wasn't going to do it. I promise.
I know. But, I'll get blamed somewhere along the line.
Sure.
But listen, Brian, I wanted to call because I'm totally stoked about this upcoming event that's happening that I certainly want to call and let you and your listeners know about. And it's Charlie Angus is coming to town. It's the Charlie Angus Resistance Tour. And he basically, for anybody who doesn't know who Charlie Angus is, he's a former MP. He's very, very vocal advocate at the federal level. He was the Member of Parliament for Timmins, James Bay, served for over 2 decades, was very vocal in the House of Commons, and he was the NDP critic for ethics, natural resources, Indigenous, youth, labor, all kinds of things. He's very well read. He's written 9 books, and most recently, I think his book, I haven't read it yet myself, but Dangerous Memory. And he's a musician. He's an old punk rocker, songwriter, musician. Yeah. He's just got an incredible CV, and he also Juno nominated with the Grievous Angels, his band.
Yep.
So anyway, the St. John's East Kitty Vitty District Association, are bringing him in, and basically he's doing these town halls, these tours across the country that have been just phenomenal. And so we're bringing them into the CLB Armory at 82 Harvey Road on March 25th from 7 to 9. People can buy tickets at Eventbrite, or they can certainly reach out to me directly. But Eventbrite is where you'll find them, and there's posters all around, the district and such. And basically, what he's doing, he's getting out there talking about democracy, resistance, and calling out authoritarianism, right, and extreme right,
and the threat to it.
You got it. And you know what? And that happens everywhere, Brian. You know what? It's so interesting because, of course, the whole geopolitical, situation happening in the world with the United States and Israel, all kinds of different things happening in the world. You know what? But democracy has to be maintained everywhere in our own communities. And that's the message that Charlie is certainly bringing to communities, is about how we can all, kind of bring in the light in these dark times, and how we can have the power. The people truly have the power. And so he's a fearless voice calling it out about democracy at home. And this is about solidarity. And so we tickets have been selling fantastic, but I did want to give you a call to note it, because it's going to be a real stir-the-pot kind of fantastic debate. Well, not a debate, a discussion about democracy. And so the other thing I just want to mention, that he also has an ongoing blog, I guess you'd call it, on Substack. And so this is all a part of making sure that every bit of democracy can be attainable, that the conversations are happening. And it's really, really fascinating for people who want to stay up on world events, but also things here at home.
Yeah, so much for going quietly into that good night, eh? I mean, Charlie was just going to sit back, write the book, 21 years as an MP. He gets to a point, from what I recall, in the book, where, he's writing about 1938 and rise of fascism and all this. And then Trump gets reelected. Yep. And pause for thought, and a total 180, and now he's out there more than ever, arguably.
Exactly, and you know what? He has been right across the country. It's just fantastic. So I reached out to him, and I said, come on, you got to come here. He's been here before, and of course our district association is just so excited to host him. And it'll be a real stir-the-pot event. It's going to be a fantastic discussion, and just helps us all empower each and every one of us. Because we're all scared in these very, very volatile times. It impacts our mental health. It impacts our economy, what's going on in the United States and beyond. And of course, now as a newly elected member of the House of Assembly, of course, that's my job, is to make sure that all of these world impacts that are happening to us in our province, and certainly here in the district of St. John's East, Kitty Vitty, that I can be a voice for those folks there as well too. So this is about inspiration. This is about stirring the pot. This is about getting people excited and empowered. And so, again, it's on March 25th, 7 to 9 at the CLB Armory on Harvey Road. You can go to Eventbrite and get your tickets there. And I hope we get lots of numbers out there because it's going to be a great discussion.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a jam with them.
Yes, that would be great. That'll be great. And, you know, he loves coming here. He's been here many times before, you know, and a real rock and roller. So, yeah, he'll be here. I'm sure that you'll probably clap eyes on him somewhere if you're not at the event. But, Brian, I certainly hope to see you there, too.
Yeah, maybe get a few Stones tunes in. Sheila, the only thing I would mention that whenever I hear stir the pot, the connotation for me is to make things a little rougher and more contentious. That's just me. I'm hoping we're not trying to stir it more. I'm hoping we're trying to put it on the back burner and simmer a little bit insteed of, I
think
you know what I mean?
About advocacy. No,
yeah,
I disagree.
Okay,
I completely disagree, Brian. I think stirring the pot is a good thing. When you stir the pot, things don't burn on the bottom. You know what? We need to make sure that everybody understands the power that they have in this democracy and upholding democracy. Because when we get, lax about, you know what, the government is going to do us good or, take care of things, when we don't actually make sure that our voice is out there, that's when dangerous things can happen.
Yep,
so it's
absolutely.
so important. That's what my role is here in the government, is to make sure to hold accountable and transparent and to make sure that all people get represented. And this is a way that people can actually empower themselves. So I love stirring the pot. I think it's about having discussion. It's about getting people out of their sleep haze so that we all become involved in building better communities, and that's what we want, isn't it?
Yep, no, absolutely, and that was my job to mention that.
Yeah.
Not exactly right to have that go back and forth, and a great point, 100%. I agree with you. It's like, and you made the metaphors we can go to the town with. We got to stir it so it doesn't burn, but. You just think of all the antagonism and the adversity going on. But the advocacy is a different thing. And absolutely, great comeback, great response, and you nailed it. Thanks, Sheila. Appreciate it. And I tell you, if I can get a chance to see Charlie, I'll be there.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Great.
Well, thanks so much, and have a wonderful Paddy's Day weekend. And you know what? We do have power, and I'm just so happy to be a voice for people, certainly here in the House of Assembly. So thanks so much.
Yep, absolutely. Great, Sheila. Thanks so much. That's
okay.
Sheila
Right.
Leary there, the MHA for St. John's East Kitty Vitty. Let's take that other break, Dave, and we'll be right back.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
It's okay to get help with your debt, and finding someone local you can trust makes all the difference. I'm David, a licensed insolvency trustee with the Janes and Nosworthy team, right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We have helped thousands of folks in our province get out of debt over the past 40 years. Whether virtual or in person at one of our 4 local offices, your consultation is always free and confidential. Chat live and get started with us today at janesnosworthy.ca. It's okay.
At Kent, there's no such thing as DIY projects because you don't have to do it yourself. We're here to help with unbeatable value.
4 days only this Thursday through Sunday. Save the tax on appliances. Plus, get free delivery and haul away on special order appliances. Don't wait. These savings won't last. Some exclusions apply. Visit us in-store today.
Forget about DIY. Here, it's DIT. Do it together. Check out the flyer at kent.ca for even more deals. Kent Building Supplies. Look what we've built together.
Heading out to cut wood? Mind the line. Look up, look around, and avoid cutting trees that are anywhere near power lines. And from all of us here at Newfoundland Power, stay safe out there.
The Stingray Podcast Network. The Stingray Podcast Network is a collection of amazing storytellers from Canada and around the world. And that now includes VOCM's The Wellness and Healthy Lifestyle Show with Dr. Mike Wall.
Attention new Canadians, newcomer artists, art professionals, and creative leaders. Join the Association for New Canadians on March 14th and 15th for Building Creative Careers, a free all-ages weekend at the Johnson Geo Center starting at 11 a.m. Learn essential skills for your arts career, explore the Arts Industry Awareness Fair for networking and industry insights, and experience our multicultural arts showcases. Have questions or want to participate in the fair? Email creativearts@ancnl.ca. This event is made possible through the financial support of Heritage Canada.
Volksfest is back with the season's biggest deals. Or are they the smallest rates? For up to 36 long months, get just a teeny-weeny 1.99% financing on the 7-seat Atlas, the fuel-efficient Jetta, and more. And don't make any payments for 90 whole days. So are these gigantic savings or puny rates? However you see it, don't miss Volksfest. On at your local Volkswagen dealer until March 31st. Conditions apply.
Volkswagen. Every morning, Joey wakes up not knowing if he will eat breakfast. Most families are struggling to afford food, and we want every child in our province to attend school well-nourished and ready to learn. With your support, we will ensure breakfast is available to all kids, just like Joey. Help us feed the kids, one breakfast at a time.
Support your local breakfast club right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Donate today at kidseatsmart.ca. Supported by VOCM.
Welcome to Orem Homes, St. John's newest seniors personal care home and independent living, where all-inclusive living means more of what you love. Catch a movie in our theater with friends, enjoy a fresh coffee in Rita's Cafe, cheer on your team in the Clubhouse Sports Bar, or unwind with a good book in the library. Here, comfort meets community, and every detail is taken care of. Call today to reserve your suite, 709-533-3321. Orem Homes, St. John's, the best place to live.
We're the Newfoundland Chocolate Company. Come visit us and experience our chocolate waterfalls and our taps overflowing with creamy chocolate here at Newfoundland's own Chocolate Factory on Torbay Road. See our entire collection of Easter chocolate featuring Easter in a Box. Everything you need to kick off an epic Easter in one delightfully delicious box. We make creamy milk chocolate, decadent dark, and smooth white chocolate with local ingredients like Newfoundland blueberries with fresh toffee made here at our chocolate factory. The perfect gift this Easter is Newfoundland chocolate.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the show. Lines are humming today, but we're welcoming your calls. Let's go right to line number 4. And Tom Babcock, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. Just a really quick alert. I'm just coming on to Pitts Memorial Drive there from Kilbride, from the on-ramp. And as I was coming on, I looked at a bunch of stuff in front of me. It looked like dirty, slushy snow. And when I get to it, it's a bunch of rock and gravel and everything that's coming down over the side of the hills there, caused by all this rain we're getting. So people ought to be really careful, because I drove through it like a maniac, and I don't know what I got done to my car, but drivers should be aware of that as they're coming on the Pitts Memorial Drive.
Now, of course, Tom, we know better than me driving like a maniac, and I know you're only just saying. But can you just give me the specific, only because, sometimes we miss it right off the top, the specific area again?
Yeah, you know where the Irving is in Kilbride?
Absolutely. Just after the turn, before that, yeah.
Yeah, just if you're heading into St. John's, just a couple of hundred feet past that is the on-ramp to Pitts Memorial.
Right, to head downtown.
And that's the ramp. That's the ramp that's got all the rock and gravel and water flowing down over the hill.
There you go. So it's on that ramp. Deadly.
On that ramp, yeah.
So to
people
speak.
should be careful, because, some of the stones are a bit big, the size of golf balls. So that could do to your tires and everything else. So.
Well, appreciate the driver beware. Tom, we know that, we can hear it. When we can hear the rain on the roof here at VOCM, we know she's coming down hard, so without even looking out the window. So, it may be warmer, but that doesn't make it safer, that's for sure. So, appreciate the heads up, Tom.
No problem, my friend. Have a good day.
Okay, drive safe.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right, Tom, thank you for that one. Let's go right to line number 3. And Jim Parsons, you're on the air.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Jim. For viewers or listeners who aren't aware, Jim, you are the owner of the property, the Landings Pub and Eatery. Jim, I don't know where to start. I mean, we go back a few years, but when I saw that you were associated with the business, all I could think was, wow, it's been a week for you. Can you take me back to that morning this week?
Well, what happened on Tuesday morning was that at 6:45 a.m., I got a call from the restaurant operator in the building, and he said, there's a fire alarm going off on my phone in the restaurant. Can you look out your window? Because I just happen to live right across the street. And when I looked out the window, it was just horror. I saw flames coming out of a kitchen window, upstairs kitchen window. I said to him, it's on fire, and I took off to the building. I had been working for the last couple of years on a food processing area downstairs. I immediately went in there, checked everything. Everything was good. There was no smoke, no anything. I went over to what's the cold storage area. I looked in there, nothing. And right above my head is the kitchen upstairs to the restaurant, and I could hear things hitting the floor. So I knew that, you know, there's a fire up there, and it's probably going to be pretty bad. So when I ran back out the door, Danny from the restaurant was pulling into the parking lot. You know, I said, it's in the kitchen, it's in the kitchen. And I was thinking that there's fire extinguishers in the kitchen, and I was figuring that we could maybe have a crack at this, because other than that, there was nothing else going on. So Danny opened the door very quickly. We ran in, and we were met with smoke. As soon as you go into landing, you go up the staircase, and it was just thick black smoke, choking smoke. And we could tell that, you know, it was well underway in the kitchen, and we had no choice but to just, you know, get back out of it. And you just, at this point, then it's despair. You know, there's a whole, it's shock. You're panicking. All of this occurred, and that was it. We had to back away. Within minutes, the fire department showed up. I know that once they got their hoses connected and stuff, they went into the building. They had to come back out. They said it was too hot, and then they changed to a ground approach, I guess. And for the next 12 hours, it was just surreal just to watch it. Just, you know, the fire spread through the building, and it was just terrible. It was horrible.
I guess the first thought is people, no injuries. That had to be the first, but in the midst of it, I mean, obviously that was for your first thought, but it doesn't take away from the monumental loss here. In the moment, of course, as you just said, the range of thoughts. How do you compartmentalize it now in your brain? Like, it's been a few days later. What does this all mean to you?
Well, you know, for me, I've had building for many, many years, and in the last 3 or 4 years, it was a fish plant at one time. I operated a fish plant down there for 10 years, and in the last 10 years, I turned to, first of all, a restaurant upstairs that I started. It was called Landing Seafood House. And then in the last 3 or 4 years, I went back to what was the fish plant, and we completely stripped it and put in all new electrical, all new processing gear. We were about to go processing food, and that would have been food that would be all local from, you know, various farmers and growers of food, and we were going to turn it into ready-to-eat meals, and for it to be local and healthy, no preservatives or chemicals or unnecessary fats and salts. And one of our customers was going to be the school lunch program. A couple of years ago, the federal government of Canada put out a nationwide school meal program where it was kind of a farm-to-plate concept where the kids would eat much healthier food. Much healthier in the sense that it's not ultra-processed or we import a lot of this food right now. But we were looking at a whole movement of local food, healthy food. And we were just on the verge of opening it.
A few obvious questions come to mind. Insured?
Yes.
Rebuilding?
Yes.
Cause?
I'm sorry?
Any idea of the cause yet? Now, you mentioned the kitchen, of course, but do you? I mean, obviously it's being investigated, so I don't want you to say anything that might, impede the investigation or presume or assume anything. But do you have a sense, even if you can't, or even if you're not 100% sure?
No, we were totally caught off guard. I mean, I believe the day before Danny up in the restaurant, I believe he had, brought in a lot of food. I was buying materials for downstairs, getting ready. I have, right up until, Monday, we were doing that. I mean, I have some ingredients coming. We were going to do a baked chicken burger, and some of the breadcrumbs were coming. And I was just really busy getting ready to get this up and running. My intent was to, work with the products first and then get to market. So even though we were ready to start, it would probably been a month later before we actually got food out into the marketplace. But that's where we were.
in the immediate term, you got your workers. I've heard the number 18. Is that about right? 18, 20?
There's
that are affected?
Yeah, there's about 18 to 20 in the restaurant, and with my company, I had 5, and I was going to increase to probably 15, maybe even 20 downstairs.
So no small impact. Do they have any, others? Is there anything that protects them during this downtime? Is there, can insurance play a role? Like, I don't know, but, in that world, I don't know. Are they sitting idle right now? Are they out of work?
They are, but what we've done is we've gone to through Minister Thompson's office and asked if their unemployment could be, it's an emergency. So I believe that their unemployment insurance can be sped up the process because of the emergency of it, and that's being, I guess, taken into account there now, and we'll see what happens. But they're going to try to get them, at least a quick turnaround on getting unemployment for now. And we have to look at what alternatives. I know Danny is looking at other places to set up shop, if at least temporarily.
Yeah, and you mentioned Danny a couple of times. Just for people know, Danny and I think his partner Chrissy were leasing the restaurant. They were running it, were they not?
Yes, that's correct. I had a fish plant there at one time, but when I got the restaurant upstairs, Danny was the kitchen manager, and I ended up doing a lot of work with as a caterer for the TV show Hudson and Rex.
Right. Yeah.
And so when that opportunity came my way, I asked Danny if he wanted to take over the restaurant, which he did. He started a new company, Landing's Eatery and Pub. And while I was working, this is a 7-month catering for movies and TV productions, which is usually from May to November. So in my time off, I was basically rebuilding downstairs and the building. I mean, people in the area would know that there's been tremendous renovations going on. We put all new siding. We put a section on one end of the building that was going to house offices. We were going to put a little retail store where people could come in and buy ready-to-eat meals. All of it underway, well underway.
Yeah, and now a really unfortunate bad timing interruption, to say the least. Any timeline on how you think this will all? I mean, I know it's so early days, and just anything else you want to add? I'm sure, the firefighters and that. I mean, I think there were 3 or 4 departments that responded. Anything else you want to add that before I let you go?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the firefighters and all, the RNC, Salvation Army. I mean, the Salvation Army showed up with the food. I know that they could take pets, and I got my hats off to Fred Hallett, the fire chief. I mean, he took control down there of the whole firefighting. And he just did. They were just wonderful. They all worked so hard. I can't thank them enough. The fire department came from Pooch Cove, from Torbay, from St. John's, and they worked really, really hard. And there were so many people that were so compassionate and just calling me and texting me and wishing me well and stuff like it really, really helped, because it's a surreal moment. You're in this, it's what appears to be a nightmare situation, and you're getting all these people who are coming forward to help or want to help and stuff, and it's solace to your soul. It really helps. And I'm not going to give up. I've worked many years at this and trying to get this, local food. Like, we import maybe up to 90% of the food into Newfoundland. People know what it's like when there's storms and the ferries don't get across. And there's a huge movement across this whole province of bringing back agricultural production, and my component was to be processing into value-added meals. I've got a call from Dan Rubin this morning from the Food Producers Forum looking to help. They're looking at a fundraising event to help me along and get back to not only have a food processing facility processing local food, but to help all of the farmers and everybody else that's involved in this whole component of agriculture.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't appreciate until we need them, and in the moment you just can't believe it's happening. But to have them respond professionally, and Jim, it sounds like your spirits, entrepreneurial and otherwise, are in the right place. But I don't know how people do it. I mean, it's a strength that not a lot of people have. So, look, a couple of things. First, I appreciate you making time for the show and giving us, the first-hand view of how this is all unfolded. Look forward to hearing updates on it, and great news, insurance and rebuild plans. Can't say enough.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, Dave, a little bit late, but that was well worth it. Can't say enough what Jim's going through and making time and just, giving us that important update. Really appreciate it. Let's take that break, come back with Mike on the ferry service and Joseph talking about cancelled hospitals right after the break.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jillian Ryan, registered audiologist at Amplifon, formerly New Life Hearing. Do you struggle to hear conversations or misunderstand them? Think that people mumble or ask for words to be repeated? Are you having trouble hearing the TV, radio, or listening on the phone? Do you have ringing in your ears? Current recommendations suggest a hearing test before the age of 55.
Take action today towards improving your quality of life and contact the audiologist of Amplifon. Your journey to better hearing starts at Amplifon.
Hi, I'm Valerie Byrne, and I'm honored to be the 2026 Ambassador for Easter Sales Newfoundland and Labrador. Easter Sales NL supports people with disabilities across our province through inclusive recreation programs, employment and education supports, outreach programs like I Can Too, disability education and free equipment loan programs that help remove barriers to everyday life and community participation. I'll be out in the community sharing stories, meeting supporters, and helping raise funds. Please consider donating today at eastersalesnl.ca.
Are you a master planner who thrives in busy and exciting team environments? Put your skills to work in Academy Canada's new supply chain and logistics program. In just 57 weeks, you can train for a rewarding career in the province's growing import and export industry. You'll gain exposure to the international supply chain and be ready for a range of career opportunities. So visit academycanada.com today and come take your place.
Tada Events presents another big show, Disney's Frozen, the Broadway musical. The biggest snow on Broadway comes to St. John's. Big cast, big song and dance numbers, big sets, big special effects, brilliant costumes. Frozen, it's tada, so you know it's big. And by big, I mean spectacular.
Disney's Frozen, Arts and Culture Center, March 7th to the 14th. Supported by Roth Oxton, NL Power, Key in the Delta, and VOCM.
At Studio Verso, personal training is designed to feel different because it is. You'll train in a private, brand new space. No shared floor, no distractions. Just you, your trainer, and a small group, each person supported individually with coaching tailored to them. You don't need to be a studio member. Personal training at Studio Verso stands on its own, supportive, intentional, and built around you. You'll have access to everything. Locker rooms, showers, and the blend bar. This is your moment to move. Studio Verso. Join the movement.
Is your child getting ready for kindergarten? NLAO, the Government of Newfoundland, and the Essilor Vision Foundation of Canada has launched the I See, I Learn program. It provides a free eye exam for children who are not covered under private insurance when preparing for kindergarten. It's important that your child have a chance to achieve their full learning potential. If vision problems are found and treated early, it will significantly impact their success. To learn more about the I See, I Learn program, visit nlao.org.
Don't wait for the regatta. The best offers are at Atlantic Home Furnishings and Flooring now. Save the tax on any Samsung appliance. Plus, get huge savings on kitchen and laundry packages with Buy More, Save More events from GE, LG, and Bosch. Save on Canadian-made upholstery, including savings off sofas, sectionals, accent chairs, and sofa beds from our favorite suppliers like Decor Rest and Palliser. With flexible financing plans, you can afford the comfort you deserve. Atlantic Home Furnishings and Flooring, 1114 Topsail Road. Proudly Canadian, proudly local.
Welcome to Orem Homes, St. John's newest seniors personal care home and independent living, where all-inclusive living means more of what you love. Catch a movie in our theater with friends, enjoy a fresh coffee in Rita's Cafe, cheer on your team in the Clubhouse Sports Bar, or unwind with a good book in the library. Here, comfort meets community, and every detail is taken care of. Call today to reserve your suite, 709-533-3321. Orem Homes, St. John's, the best place to live.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. Just a couple of minutes here before we get to the news, and I don't want to give anyone short shrift and then have to put them on hold and bring them back. So we got a few callers there that, some good topics they want to get into. Rather than interrupt, we're just going to take a moment here. I wanted to quickly mention, of course, yesterday, and I mentioned the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, off the top there, in the Arctic yesterday, making some big announcements, $35 billion worth of investment, infrastructure, roads expansion, power expansion, for the North, for the Arctic, and this all, you got to believe, some of the urging from south of the border, of course, is part of some of the things that we need to do just to placate people south of the border. But in any event, by all accounts, these are necessary, that may or may not have been put off for a long time. But as part of all of that, upgrades were mentioned as well for the national defense infrastructure across the country in Yellowknife, Inuvik, Iqaluit, and, of course, Goose Bay. So that's great news for Goose, because every year, for a long time, we worried about the low-level flying, whether or not it was the indigenous concerns on the land, or whether or not it was the loss of economic spin-offs from the NATO forces being there doing low-level flight training. But certainly an injection, a big injection. We don't have all the details yet. It's in the devil's in the details, and I'm going to scour that over the weekend. But we do know that $35 billion, part of it's going to be, Goose Bay is included. So, of course, we have a Liberal MP up there. We have Liberal MPs throughout the province. Anyone wants to give us a go with that, to fill us in on some of the finer details of what exactly size chunk of that funding will go to Goose, and specifically what it will be for. Again, all centered around national defense. And we know Carney, of course, is on his way, or is in Norway now. It's an interesting thing. The bids are in on submarines for NATO countries as well, and Norway as well, hoping to get a piece of that. We're talking about Bull Arm. We're talking about, floating dry docks and trying to drum up interest and get work here from the defense contracts. He's all over that. And if you have any concerns about all the travel the Prime Minister is doing these days, I mentioned to a friend the other day, sometimes after big trips by the PM or other people, you put in these requests for information on how much it costs. I'm sure it's going to be a high bill, but whether or not you think it's important that he's out doing these trips and meeting face-to-face with countries that are facing the same kind of blowback we are from the United States, it may be very well important that he is there face-to-face. All right, let's go off to the news. Enough of my babbling on. Let's take the news break and back with your calls right after the news.
This is the VOCM Radio Network. Stingray radio stations heard around the province and around the world at VOCM.com and through the Stingray Music app. This is your VOCM. Local news now. A VOCM news update.
This news is presented by Rogers Moyse Lawyers. They stand for you. Call 722-3777. Rogers Moyse.
At 10 o'clock, it's raining in St. John's. Temperature at 11 and winds gusting to 70 at the airport. Good morning. I'm Sarah Strickland. Another member of the Bragg Guju rink is moving on. The skip put the broom in the closet after the Brier in St. John's, and Jeff Walker, who has been part of the team for 15 years, says all good things eventually come to an end. Walker says winning the Brier in St. John's in 2017 is a memory that he will never forget, and having the opportunity to play one final time last week made it even more special. Walker, who thanked fans for their support over the years in a post to social media, did not indicate where he would land. Mark Nichols and Brendan Botcher are the other two members of the foursome, and neither has given any indication of what's next. Well, speaking of Team Guju, but in another manner, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure says everything is on track for the final phase of the Team Guju Highway to be completed later this year. Work has been steady in the Brookfield Road area since the $30 million contract for its construction was signed in September 2024. In a statement to VOCM News, government says work on the highway has been progressing well, and they are on track for completion in the fall. Teachers in the K-12 system believe that the new government has had enough time in its mandate to deliver some concrete initiatives on class size and school safety. Education Minister Paul Dinn has had talks with stakeholders, but is not making any commitments at this time. NLTA President Dale Lamb says education was not much of a priority in the speech from the throne, so he is hoping that was not an indication of what's to come.
And we haven't seen anything actionable. They're very,
easy things that were promised in the election that could be actioned, but they're not yet. So it's time now for us to see that commitment and the follow through that government can provide.
Stats Canada is set to release fresh jobs data for February this morning. Michelle Zadikian reports for the Canadian Press.
A Reuters poll of economists expects the economy added 10,000 jobs last month, but that the unemployment rate edged up to 6.6%. Statistics Canada reported a loss of 25,000 positions in January, but said the jobless rate swung down to 6.5% because fewer people were looking for work. The February jobs figures will come less than a week before the Bank of Canada's next interest rate decision, set for March 18th. The central bank will also get a fresh look at inflation data on Monday. Michelle Zadikian, the Canadian Press.
Up next, your VOCM weather forecast.
When my daughter got her license, I told her
a list of rules that was 10 feet long.
To just stay safe. But accidents happen, and after that collision, she needed a lawyer. I thought it was going to be difficult.
So stressful.
But then we called Rogers Moyse.
And they really took care of me.
They were reliable, and they made her feel safe and secure.
I really trusted them.
And now I do too.
Rogers Moyse. We stand for you. Call Rogers Moyse Lawyers at 709-722-3777.
This VOCM weather is brought to you by Vogue Optical, where your second pair is always free. Let Vogue Optical arrange your next eye exam today. Trust us, your eyes will thank you.
St. John's Metro, rest of the Avalon, RDF for today. Southwesterly winds 70, except gusting to 100 along parts of the coast with a high of 13. Cloudy this evening, skies will clear up overnight. Westerly winds 50, low -5. Sun and cloud tomorrow, high +1. Clarenville, central Newfoundland, rain changing to snow this afternoon. Temperature falling to -2. Flurries ending, then clear skies for the rest of the evening. Westerly winds will gust to 80 in the evening before dropping overnight, a low -9. Sun and cloud for tomorrow, high -1. South coast, rain changing to flurries. Westerlies gusting to 80, temperature falling to +2. Flurries ending overnight. Westerly winds 40, low -5. Sun and cloud on Saturday. Westerly winds 30 and a high of +3. For the west coast, southwest coast, northern peninsula, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow and ice pellets for today. Westerlies 50, temperature falling to -6. Flurries will end overnight. Westerly winds 40, low -8, and sun and cloud tomorrow with a high of -2. Happy Valley Goose Bay, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow for today. Northerlies 30, high -11. Light snow ending this evening, then clearing, a low of -24. Sunny tomorrow, high -11. Labrador West mainly cloudy today, high -17. Clear skies for tonight, low -35. The wind chill -45. Sunshine tomorrow, high -13. And the north coast, sunny breaks today. Northerlies 30, high -16. Clear for tonight. Northwesterly winds 30, low -24. And sunshine tomorrow. Westerlies at 30 and a high of -15. Right now in St. John's, we have light rain that at other times is coming down in buckets. Temperature is at 11, and we have winds gusting to 70 over at the airport. Back with an update at 11 o'clock for VOCM News. I'm Sarah Strickland.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to Open Line on this gray and mozzie day here and warm in the St. John's metro area. Let's go to line number 4. Joseph, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Brian. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I was delighted to hear that PC's cancelled this new hospital on this $23 million piece of land, on Kinmount Road. I don't know where they were going to get the staff for this hospital, because I spent a whole day down in emergency, down the health science there before Christmas, and the whole problem was they didn't have enough staff down there. There's no doctors. There's only a few doctors on duty there at a time. And I don't know, if the Liberals have a couple of boxes of nurses and doctors, why don't they open them up? But anyway, they weren't interested. The Liberals weren't interested in getting doctors and nurses anyway when they were in power, because when Osborne was Minister of Health, there was this female doctor in Trepassey who was quite content to stay there because she bought a new house and loved it there, and her contract ran out, and they wouldn't renew her contract. Now, ever since that, there's this little nurse have to drive from St. John's 2 hours to get to Trepassey and 2 hours to get home again. So why wouldn't they renew the contract for that female doctor?
Well, Joseph, if you're asking me, I can't see the contract, and the specifics of an individual contract regarding one doctor in one community, that might be between her and the health authority or the health NL Health Services and the contract and her. In the individual instance, I can't really say. The town may have some ideas, and there may be rumors floating around, but I wouldn't want to go there. There's so much to this that it's hard to say why an individual, area of the province would only be staffed. We know the shortages are real. The fact that you do have one, that someone is out there, in some cases there are communities around this province who would take that because they don't have anything.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't understand that one when we had such a shortage of nurses and doctors.
And I'd hate to speak for her, or obviously an individual's contract is a private, personal thing, and the unions may have a more standard across the board reason why this happened, or the government may as well. But look, it's happening in every community. The turnover is real. The shortages continue to be real. We know the issues, whether it's private, nurses being brought in to supplement, whether it's the pay scales, whether it's recruitment, retention, that we know that the nurses union has long made. Those are the key issues, more so retention these days than even recruitment, just trying to keep them, and compete with other salaries and other benefits in other jurisdictions. It's a tough one. And I can't imagine. You said it. I've done the drive to Trepassey all around the loop. It's unless it's a leisurely Sunday drive in July or August, although even then it can be a white knuckle depending on the weather. But for the most part, it's usually a nice casual drive. But having to do it every day for 2 hours, especially on a day like today or in the dead of winter, back and forth, not for the faint of heart by any means, Joseph.
Yes, and not only that, there's nothing wrong with the doctors and the nurses in the hospital because they're very obliging, but just that there's not enough of them.
100%.
Anyway, maybe sometime down the road they'll come up with more doctors and nurses for the put in hospitals, but another hospital wouldn't solve any problems. It'll only create more problems.
Yeah, and that is the contentious issue, isn't it? It does crumbling, if you want to call it crumbling. Some of the reports we've seen about St. Clair's, whether it's the broken windows and the cold air or the elevators a few months ago or a couple of months ago, all of them were out at the same time, according to a pretty good source that I have. And, of course, elevators in any building these days, and escalators for that matter. I never understand some of it, but... repairmen for those sorts of things, repairmen and repairwomen for those sorts of for elevators and escalators seem to be at a premium as well these days. Joseph, anything else you want to say just to wrap it up? I hear you. Do we spend more money on a new facility or do we spend it on recruitment and more doctors and nurses? You got to have a place to put them too. And for them to work, and they want to work in good facilities with great equipment, which a new building brings. So it's a tangly affair, and until we have more money in the coffers, I'd say it's still going to be up in the air.
That's right, because this new hospital would have cost billions of dollars. And like every project that starts now, there's cost overruns. So nobody knows for sure how much a new hospital would cost to build.
I think the estimate was around $10 billion, so the Tories and... that's the number been floating around, the $10 billion versus what it would cost to renovate St. Clair's. We know St. Clair's is an old building, and if you ask the people down there, Well, they won't say a lot because they're working for NL Health Services. But, you know, to a man and a woman, it's not the, you know, most modern facility. But there's all kinds of talk about, you know, expansion and building up and parking garage. We'll see what happens. You know, what they need to do first, if you ask me, is sign an MOU for Churchill and get Bay to Nord put to bed.
Yeah. Yes, I think starting a new hospital now would be like the Muskrat Falls, to be big cost overruns and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for taking my call.
I appreciate you're taking the time, Joseph. I don't know what I want to put in the same category as Muskrat, but that's another story for another day. Thanks, Joseph. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dave, right a minute early for the break, and then back again. Mike on the ferry service, and Greg talking about transportation and roads from the money allotted yesterday in the yearly output for roads work in the province. We'll be right back.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
Every Saturday includes the VOCM Saturday Morning Irish Newfoundland Show with Greg Smith. It's a tradition your weekend couldn't be the same without. The VOCM Saturday Morning Irish Newfoundland Show is presented by Sinnett's Hydro Seeding, the real hydro seeding specialist. Call Ed Sinnett today at 687-1995. Join us right here each and every Saturday morning for the music of our province, the VOCM Irish Newfoundland Show.
Now that Volksfest is back, the phones at Volkswagen have been very busy. Volkswagen, how can I help?
1.99% financing for up to 36 months on the 7-seat Atlas, the affordable Taos, and more? You can't be serious!
We are. And don't make any payments for 90 days.
90 days? That's a lot of days!
It sure is. But Volksfest is only on until March 31st at your local Volkswagen dealer.
March 31st? I gotta go!
Don't miss our biggest deals of the season at Volksfest. Conditions apply.
Volkswagen.
Looking to kick back in your backyard? At Home Hardware, we've got a wide range of decking and stain, grass seed and mulch, mowers, and everything you need to create your backyard oasis. Yeah, but the silence. Find everything you need for your next project and earn and redeem Scene Plus points at over 1,000 Home Hardware and Building Center locations. All locally owned and genuinely Canadian.
NL Drilling and Blasting would like to advise the public that they will be performing blasting operations periodically at 250 East White Hills Road from February 10th to March 31st, 2026. Residents and businesses in the area may feel some vibrations or loud noises during the blasting operations. Again, NL Drilling and Blasting would like to advise the public that they will be performing blasting operations periodically at 250 East White Hills Road from February 10th to March 31st, 2026. Residents and businesses in the area may feel some vibrations or loud noises during the blasting operations. NL Drilling and Blasting apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause.
Every morning, Joey wakes up not knowing if he will eat breakfast. Most families are struggling to afford food, and we want every child in our province to attend school well-nourished and ready to learn. With your support, we will ensure breakfast is available to all kids, just like Joey. Help us feed the kids, one breakfast at a time.
Support your local breakfast club right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Donate today at kidseatsmart.ca. Supported by VOCM.
Attention new Canadians, newcomer artists, art professionals, and creative leaders. Join the Association for New Canadians on March 14th and 15th for Building Creative Careers, a free all-ages weekend at the Johnson Geo Center starting at 11 a.m. Learn essential skills for your arts career, explore the Arts Industry Awareness Fair for networking and industry insights, and experience our multicultural arts showcases. Have questions or want to participate in the fair? Email creativearts@ancnl.ca. This event is made possible through the financial support of Heritage Canada.
In a world where savings are rare, one optical store is changing the game. Vogue Optical is bringing back the ultimate sale. 50% off every frame in the store.
Yep, every frame, 50% off. Don't wait, this deal won't last forever. Hurry in to your nearest Vogue Optical location and get 50% off your new frames today. See store for details.
My daughter Nora wanted to understand my new job. For the last 14 years, I was an insurance company lawyer.
But now I work for McGillivray Law, a firm that represents people who've been injured in accidents or had their disability claims denied. Nora didn't quite understand that last part. She did understand that now I work to help injured people receive justice. I love making sure that people are treated fairly. Nora likes that too. That's why I joined McGillivray Law.
McGillivray Law, Newfoundland and Labrador's trusted name for injury victims and people denied disability.
VOCM Open Line is brought to you by Janes and Noseworthy, licensed insolvency trustees. It's okay to get help with your debt, and finding someone local you can trust makes all the difference.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the show. Just a quick plug before we go to our next caller. The Georgetown Neighborhood Association, my neck of the woods. They got a food drive tomorrow. Bring your donations of food or cash, and it's happening from 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon at the corner of William and Hayward Avenue there in the Georgetown neighborhood. And it's all in support of Bridges for Hope. So, there's one for you. I'm going to pop by that one tomorrow morning, which is just around the corner from my house. Let's go right to line number one. And Mike, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning. I've been listening to some more stuff on the ferry system the week, but I'd like to reiterate, I've been on this topic for the last 20 years on the open line shows and that, whatever, about the inadequacies and the lack of knowledge in the Marine Department at the management levels. There haven't been anybody there that is properly has the proper credentials to, probably organize this department. And I'd like to point out that there are a lot of underlying things that leads to this, into the fact that, we got a Comptroller General there that's supposed to be looking after our interest. He put out a false statement onto the Bell Truster and that and everything, which I was the one that orchestrated the purchase. I was one that worked out the deals and that and everything, and the tender and all the rest of them won it. Saved the province $300,000 on the purchase alone, and then the government management wastes over $1 million. Then they gives out false statements as regards to what actually happened. And then the minister went on with false statements about taking the Bell Truster out, putting it in the other ferries, and all this stuff was all totally wrong, a total waste of money. But two, getting back to the underlying problems, is that the Auditor General, the Comptroller General, the Chief Purchasing Officer, all of these people are not doing their jobs. And because they're not doing the jobs, these people are getting away with what they're doing with no consequences. And they got to be held accountable. Now, the Liberal minister got rid of the deputy minister before the election, which he promised to do during the election. He was one of the worst people in the world as regards to running an organization. And all this stuff, like these people. Now, the deputy minister left and went with Hydro because he knew he was going to be fired, giving out bad contracts, $200 an hour to EV companies. Contracts worth $5 million has gone to $18 million. Engines put in that never had to be changed out. They could have been rebuilt. There was dozens of companies around the world could have come in and rebuilt them, done it to the satisfaction of Transport Canada. All of this is due to lack of knowledge in the management of the Marine Department. They do not even, they're the only marine management company in the world that does not have a qualified shore engineer. The whole works, I blacklisted because of my verbal things and reporting the truth about what is actually going on there.
When you say blacklisted, Mike, like what does that mean? Like what in what way are you being impinged? You know what I mean? Impinged.
Impugned, we were stopped from. I was stopped from getting work. They tried to refuse to pay me approximately $500,000, $600,000 or something, trying to put me bankrupt. Then when I retired, they did the same thing to the young fellow that took over my business. They ostracized him. They ran him up to own parts and labor and that stuff in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. They tried to put him bankrupt. They blackmailed him into giving him so much money and whatever. And he still hasn't got any work now years later when he was the cheapest and the best reputation of all the people working on the ferry system. All the crews want them. We did good work at good prices and everything else. And we were ostracized by this government and still ostracized by it.
And we know the
They're
money
a mean
is...
bunch of people.
Yeah, and you mentioned the $18 million figure. That was 4 times what it was. So it was $18 million, I think, in 2025 was put in on the Legionnaire, Flanders, Veteran, and Beaumont Hamel. And that was like 4 times what it was the year before in 2024. And it was another $2 million more than it was in 2023. And now, last year, almost $20 million to maintain 4 vessels. And now the plan is to build 4 more, which the province still says, the new government says they are in the market for and sticking to that promise. What will be built here and that sort of thing is one thing. But if, do you think, is there any indication that the situation that you encountered or that you're saying your encounters is any closer to cleaning up? With the new government comes new color and new fresh, ideas and a cleanup of the current, or is it all the same old, same old?
Well, I'm waiting for the new budget to come down. I've been in contact with some of them, and I'm waiting to see now what happens when the new budget comes down. But Lewisport needs to be wiped out. All of the management needs to be gone. The Comptroller General, now you probably don't even know him. Hardly anybody even knows what the Comptroller General is.
Well, we'll stay. The titles are good, but we'll certainly stay out of the names if that's okay for now.
Yeah, I'm not saying the names.
Sure.
But like the Chief Procurement Officer says, her quote to me on an email was that these are not laws, they're only rules and guidelines, and there's no penalties for any of these contracts that are signed without proper tendering, proper issuing of it, and whatever. And they're getting away with all of this stuff that they should be brought to task for it, but they're not. So we've got other problems besides the actual ferry system. This
is that ever right?
Whole thing should be looked at from an independent point of view and done properly. Now, I wish Julie Mullally had stayed as the Auditor General, because she was one of the best people I ever heard, one of the smartest and conscientious people that I've known. But since then, that department has gone downhill big time.
Well, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see a report on, in the last 2 or 3 years, how the spending has, where it all went, what it was spent on, and to what, if any extent, there's an explanation for it. You mentioned the budget. I'm not sure we've had a more eagerly awaited budget, and budgets are always important. We always want to see where the government's direction's going, but I don't know if we've ever had such an eagerly anticipated one to see how the government is going to balance all the promises that were made in the election with all of the needs that we have before us, and the financial situation that we're in.
Well, I've heard that there's going to be some big changes, but now whether that all comes through or not, I don't know. I'm hoping so. I've got faith into them. I voted for them, and I've done everything. And I'd like to comment too on the Flanders, which is an important thing. When they said they were putting new engines into the Flander, I went on the open line show and I said, they're doing that without going through the hull, without doing x-rays of the hull. I've seen over 10 years ago, 15 years ago, flakes of rust about 2 feet square, or, well, not actually square, but square and round and whatever, that you couldn't lift, flaking off the inside of that vessel. The chain locker was gone. And I said they're not going to do it on the time frame that they're talking about.
What's
a
a chain locker?
Needs a lot more work.
What's a chain locker?
Pardon? Chain locker. That's where the chain for the anchor is curled up in the bow of the ship.
They're just for those who aren't the nautical brains that and the experience that you have.
Yeah, well, it's the bow of the ship where the anchor is put down to the deck, and it's contained in a room by itself with the chain curled up down into it, so they've got the anchor.
Gotcha. Yep.
But all of this stuff is it's not going anywhere with this department, and there's so much going on here that the repercussions from it are not being felt through the industry. Everybody knows, Coast Guard, and everybody knows, every other organization knows that this department is the worst organized. The feelings between the management staff and the crews are hostile. It's a hostile environment to work, not a fit environment to work. The whole thing is just disastrous, and it's costing us a fortune for the taxpayers. Well, they can't get people because of the management treating the workers, the captains and the crews and that and whatever. It's just pathetic. You wouldn't believe the calls that I got from engineers and that stuff and how they're treated, and the disrespect from those people. Now, you got to get it this way. Those ships can't sail without the crews, but they can sail without the bunch of people in the Confederation building. So the government has got to look, those people on the crews, they can organize refits, they can organize the maintenance and that and everything, and getting the right people in there to do what got to be done. But when the ship is sailing, they're the bosses. They're the ones to do the thing. But as soon as they tie up, you got a bunch with no marine experience taking over and giving out contracts and saying, oh, this one is going to do that job. No, you're not getting those people. We're going to put who we want there. They don't have a clue about what they're doing or what they're talking about. Unqualified people doing jobs and everything down there that are not qualified to do. Contractors going in there. And with the last deputy minister, the whole people into that department used to say, look, we're held to our budget. But as soon as the contractor comes in with something, all of a sudden there's meetings.
Mike, only because we're at the break and the minister, Barry Pitton, is in the queue. So hold your fire. At least until the budget, or at least until Barry Pitton joins us on the show, and then give us a call back next week and let me know what you hear.
Yeah, well, I've been talking to him a long time ago, and when he was in the opposition and everything else, and he knows everything that I'm talking about, and he knows it's all true.
Okay, well, I'll ask him if it is. There we go. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the call, Mike. Have a listen now when we get him on, and see if he answers your questions, and I'm sure Barry's capable of doing that. Right at the break, Dave, will we take that and then come back with... Okay, yep. Let's go to line number 2. And Greg, you're on the air. Take Greg first.
Yes, good morning, Brian. How are you?
How are you? Good, thanks.
That's good. Listen, I'm just calling this morning about the cutbacks or whatever in the funding for the road work for this year. Like I said, I'm from Burgeo originally, and seems like this year there's no money allocated for that road at all. It almost looks like it's because now there's a PC government, and Burgeo was a Liberal district, and seems like they don't want to spend any money now in their Liberal district.
Well, this forever and a day. Partisan politics and road work. They go hand in hand. It's always been that way. The allegations, I should say, not necessarily the actual implementation and assignment of funds to different areas. There will always be allegations of, the roads being done in the members' district and not in mine. I'll tell you what, Greg, as I mentioned to just a previous caller, we have the minister in the queue. So I'm sure, we'll put the questions to him. Dave described it as right-sizing the budget. I'll ask Minister Barry Pitton that very thing as soon as we get back from the break. All good?
Yeah, that's good. I'd like to say, well, Burgeo, like I say, there's nothing out there now, only pretty much senior citizens, and they kind of swept the rug out on them for the NMCA, and now all of a sudden there's no money for the roads. Like I said, there needs to be brush cutting and stuff like that. There's potholes by the thousands. The last few years, the Liberals were in, they did do a nice bit of new pavement and stuff. But I know there was a Liberal member in the Liberal government, but now seeing that the PC government and Mr. Michael King is there as a Liberal member, that everything has gone bottom up. So anyway, hopefully Barry can answer my questions to what I just said, and look forward to hearing from him.
Absolutely, and I'll just remind you, it's hard to go bottom up when you've only been in government, say, for 3-4 months. So, we'll get the answer. I'm not, defending or advocating one way or the other, but, these are new times. The government, it's hard to really have a legitimate claim of patriotism, of patronage, or, this kind of glad handing to your own district so early in a term. But we'll put that as well to the minister right after the break. Thanks so much, Greg. Appreciate the call. Have a great weekend.
You too, my friend. Thank you.
Take
care. Bye.
You too. Bye. Okay, Dave, off to the break and back with the minister right after the break.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
Welcome to Orem Homes, St. John's newest seniors personal care home and independent living, where all-inclusive living means more of what you love. Catch a movie in our theater with friends, enjoy a fresh coffee in Rita's Cafe, cheer on your team in the Clubhouse Sports Bar, or unwind with a good book in the library. Here, comfort meets community, and every detail is taken care of. Call today to reserve your suite, 709-533-3321. Orem Homes, St. John's, the best place to live.
At Kent, there's no such thing as DIY projects because you don't have to do it yourself. We're here to help with unbeatable value.
4 days only this Thursday through Sunday. Save the tax on appliances. Plus, get free delivery and haul away on special order appliances. Don't wait. These savings won't last. Some exclusions apply. Visit us in-store today.
Forget about DIY. Here, it's DIT. Do it together. Check out the flyer at kent.ca for even more deals. Kent Building Supplies. Look what we've built together.
Kent Building Supply celebrates 50 years by helping young people in our community. This month, you can make it possible for more children in Atlantic Canada to get the chance to experience camp. Your support gives kids from low-income families the chance to build confidence and make new friends. Join us by donating to YMCA Atlantic Canada at the cash register. At checkout, round up your purchase or add a donation. Take action today. Your generosity makes camp possible. Kent Building Supplies. Look what we've built together.
March is Pharmacy Appreciation Month. Pharmacists are the friendly faces of your day-to-day healthcare, helping you manage all kinds of common ailments and chronic conditions. In community pharmacies and hospitals, pharmacists provide safe, quality, and effective healthcare services. Show your appreciation by nominating your community or hospital pharmacist or pharmacy team for the Pharmacist of the Year Award. Visit PANL.net for details.
We're the Newfoundland Chocolate Company. Come visit us and experience our chocolate waterfalls and our taps overflowing with creamy chocolate here at Newfoundland's own chocolate factory on Torbay Road. See our entire collection of Easter chocolate featuring bunnies. Aww. Great big bunnies. Easter in a box. Everything you need to kick off Easter in one delightfully delicious box. With local ingredients like Newfoundland blueberries, roasted almonds with fresh toffee made here at our chocolate factory, and homemade biscotti. The perfect gift this Easter is Newfoundland chocolate.
Tada Events presents another big show, Disney's Frozen, the Broadway musical. The biggest snow on Broadway comes to St. John's. Big cast, big song and dance numbers, big sets, big special effects, brilliant costumes. Frozen, it's tada, so you know it's big. And by big, I mean spectacular.
Disney's Frozen Arts and Culture Center, March 7th to the 14th. Supported by Roth Oxton, NL Power, Kean, The Delta, and VOCM.
The Newfoundland and Labrador Association of Optometrists reminds you that protecting your child's vision starts with 2 simple steps: regular eye exams and more time playing outside. Did you know that natural sunlight helps promote healthy eye development? Regular checkups catch issues early, and outdoor play gives their eyes a vital break from screens, helping reduce the risk of nearsightedness. Contact an eye doctor near you. A message from the Newfoundland and Labrador Association of Optometrists.
When you're hurt in an accident, you need a lawyer you can trust. Trust O'Day Earl to know what you're facing, to have the answers, and fight for every dollar you deserve. Trust us to care. Trust our experience. We know what your claim is worth. We do all the legwork, and there's zero upfront cost until we win. If you're injured, trust O'Day Earl.
Trust O'Day Earl, we know what your claim is worth.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Bigland FM radio network.
And welcome back to the show. Let's go as promised right to line number 4. And the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure and the PCMHA for CBS, Barry Pettin, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Morning, Minister. How are you today on this lovely spring-like day?
I know, yeah. It's probably better than snow, but it's warm. That's the only bonus, I guess, yeah. But all part of the season.
And I'm sure the roads are taking a beating today with this kind of weather, too. I can just picture the potholes. So yesterday, of course, the the release of the $250 million highway construction plan for the upcoming season. I think you've described it as right-sizing the budget compared, I think she's down about $80-90 million compared to previous year. What does right-sizing mean?
Well, first of all, Brian, I'm not sure where this $80-90 million drop is. In 2025, or last year's budget was $316 million. And we ended up getting $275 million out the door, so to speak. Now, I think some of the screwing numbers or playing with numbers was probably a bit of it was. I think the Team Gouges was included and was a big piece of work last year, a big contract awarded, and it kind of skews your numbers. I'd rather look at the numbers of the actual contracts we're getting out for what we call a traditional road work is what my figures and data in our department have showed, and the exact figure was $316 million. And this year is 250. In 2023 it was 225. In 24 it was 250. And back in 2022, Brian, 151 million was the budget. So I mean, when I say right sizing the budget, this is still a healthy budget. I mean, it's still $250 million in road work. But I guess sometimes we follow, and I know our finance minister says it often, spending more wisely and spending smarter. We have to be responsible how we spend too, because I found the prices, I've said before, the prices were skyrocketing, and the previous administration were there, and they were just more interested in getting roads paved, and they couldn't get, the more the merrier. And I've questioned them. Actually, I questioned the members out across the way yesterday and former ministers, why didn't you kind of try to address the pricing before in the last number of years that the pricing's gone up and it seemed like it was out of control. And I've seen that in other issues. I've seen that with the infrastructure, the new hospital bill. There was no forecast in the budget. The Premier said yesterday there was no money in the budget forecasted for the gas tax. So we got a lot of reckless spending happened in the last decade, and we're not making it up. We're seeing this as we're preparing to do the budget, and it's very concerning. So to say that we're cutting anything, and we're still spending $250 million on road work, and actually that's really, when you're right sizing, that's really all we got the capacity to put out. There's not enough contractors around, to be able to do any better. We're limiting our contractors anyway, and actually sometimes I think it's what's happening with the price, because we haven't enough contractors, and the amount of work, it goes supply and demand. So we got to try to give them, find that balance. And hopefully it's better pricing, but it's still lots of work for everyone. Everyone should do well, and I want them to make money, but we also got to be cognizant of the public purse.
I'm in total agreement, Barry. And, as you've maybe heard me say, I don't want to get bogged down in the numbers and the back and forth and the to and fro and what we did before. We should be looking forward, no question. So I throw that out there because the number of questions I had to at least pose it, done. So I'll get the shouters out of my head. Just give me the high points. What are the biggest projects that are in the queue right now? And by the way, are we seriously getting Gouges Highway done this year?
Well, that's the hope. They've done a really good job, actually, the contractor there, and they worked all winter. So, that's in our plans, and it's moving ahead. So it's been one of the projects, actually, that's you haven't heard a lot about. When you don't hear a lot about them, that's usually a good sign. So
you got that right.
I use that less noise the better, but from all indications and reports I'm getting back, everything's moving along great. We're doing the twinning, starting the twinning section between Bishop Falls and Grand Falls this year. The traditional approach, that is part of the roads program, and that'll be, a great addition out there, because lots of safety concerns being raised on the Trans-Canada with more twinning. And then next year, I guess we'll move back towards Whitburn and proceed. Something else too, Brian, we're doing a fair amount of bridge work, and contrary to what people may say when they get into the patronage piece or whatever. I never done it that way, to be quite frank with you. I went in, bridge work I left alone. That's a safety issue. The engineers, the department recommended road work that they felt was priority, and they know better than I know. And I never interfered with that. We had some carryovers, of course, too. So, contrary to what people may think, I never done as much political stuff with this road plan as people might want to accuse me of. I'm trying to do things in a more different approach than what's been done in the past. And I've gotten from staff staff are generally pleased with the road plan because it falls more in line with what they believe in. So I take that as a compliment, but I also take that as what the direction we should be in, and that's the message I get from that's our premier, that's our government's goal, is to try to be wiser. We won't, we're not ever going to be perfect, not by no stretch. There's no one at that level, but we're trying to do things differently, and the Minister Party always alludes to spend wisely and smarter. So, end of the day, I always say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So, we'll see where that goes, but that is that's our underlying goal, and so we can only try our best to make it happen and create safer communities.
Speaking of areas in your own district, and look, no one's going to ever fault you for being an advocate for your own district if you got to need a road paved. No one's going to ever, and you can even go above and beyond that. That is your job, the advocacy, and if you get it, that's great. If you're on the Tory side, when there's a Liberal government, even better. Speaking of your own neck of the woods, though, I did get one request about Route 60, Upper Gullies up to Seal Cove. Is that in the queue and in the plans?
Yeah, actually, that is getting done. I think from that, and of course, that's not my district. Actually, that's
you're beyond
Conway, Amherst district. I might have 500 feet of that road, but most of that's in our district, and it's something that she's lobbied for.
Right.
We've jointly lobbied for having that paved for years, and it's a real bad stretch of road, and the engineering work has been done there for a number of years. For some reason, the previous government wouldn't do it. Contrary to what, we heard it loud and clear at the doors, even though it wasn't my district, people in my district drive it, so that road was a high priority. Some of our districts, Brian, I think needs to point out too, I asked officials when I went in first, got elected, and we were looking at the roads plan, and I said, point blank, can you just tell me what are some of the worst districts in the province road-wise, district level? What can you tell me? And tell me the truth. So, don't butter it.
Yeah.
I think 6 or 7 of them were PC districts, which I figured would be 3 or 4, but it was 6 or 7, and I said, wow. Anyway, I'll use the word, they've been neglected for the last 10 years or more, and so it's a lot of work got to be done there just to get them to acceptable levels, if you know what I'm saying. So it's a real balance, and it's not about them cutting every Liberal district out. It's just the fact they were in power for the last 10 years.
So you're catching up. So if people see the Tory districts getting it, you could argue you're just trying to catch up to what was being neglected?
And actually, as a matter of fact, that's exactly what we're trying to do in some of those areas, because regardless, something needs to be done, and it was neglected. There's nothing short of it. There was no road work done in some of those areas for at least 10 years. Now, that won't stay that way forever, but I should say we're playing catch-up. And I heard a caller was on preview just now about the Burgeo, out around Burgeo, the highway and stuff out there in the Michael King's district. There's been a lot of work done out there, and a lot more needs to be done. But like I said, we have a lot of other districts as well that need, so they will get the work done as well. And brush cutting is a separate piece that we have. That's a separate, that's separate into the roads program, and we have a separate group doing that. And brush cutting is done on need basis. That's not political. You got roads where we got high volumes of moose, and that's done in a more of a mapped out version. Our tendency is to concentrate on first, and moose fencing is similar to process, right? Because this is road safety stuff, Brian, like bridge work. And I try not to interfere too much with that stuff. I think that officials are well aware, and local MHAs, no matter what side of the floor they're on, they know their districts well, and if they feel that brush cutting is needed and necessary, as long as we got the people, the capability of doing it and get the work out the door, I don't interfere with that either.
Yeah, I've got a couple of drives across the province coming up, and I know the spots in my mind's eye where that brush cutting could be used, especially on the side roads. Quick couple of rapid fire before I let you go, and we got a break to get to. I've heard some criticism from the opposition, and again, I don't have a whole lot of time for unconstructive stuff, but the messaging, as a journalist, we're always listening to what's coming out of government opposition and everything. The words you use are important. If it does feel a little bit like the promise word is being replaced in a lot of cases by hoping to and trying to, is that just a reflection of drilling down through the numbers and seeing that, maybe we can't do as much as we wanted to. The books are in this kind of state. It's probably unavoidable to blame the previous government because you just took over. But, in real terms, are we stepping away from some of the promises that have been made here?
Absolutely not. No, and that may be, I know the opposition have pointed out a few times, it may be just the use of a word. I guess sometimes you don't want to be too over cocky or confident. But no, our direction from the Premier and our caucus, and my direction from anywhere I'm involved with, we're full steam ahead in our promises. He's very, and I say Premier Wakeham is very focused on his promises. He's one of the people he gives to people his word, and we have every desire of following through on our commitment. So I think sometimes not. That's a play on words from the opposition, but we're not planning on backing away from any of our promises. That's a priority, and it's priority of this government. We know we may not get something done this year, but we'll get it done next year. But we're very cognizant of the promises, and we fully intend on keeping every one of them.
I'll be taking a task if I don't ask you this one real quick. The state of the Belle Island Ferry. Where is the Astron now, and is that still only, I think, the contract till the end of this month? Is that correct?
Yeah, the Astron's contract runs at the end of March. Right now, we're waiting on RFP for a swing vessel to close. That won't be till the end of March either, so we're kind of got the perfect storm where they're lining up. The Astron wasn't a really reliable boat during the last winter, but it's good during the summer season. So we're trying to negotiate now with Woodwards and LMI, I guess, to see what's possible for extension of that contract. I'm not sure what that's going to be. The officials are working on that. They'll give direction on that one. And so right now the Astron is going to be a backup vessel on Fogo, along with the Veteran, or the Comatic for now, and then when the Veteran gets some minor repairs done, the Veteran will return to the Fogo run with the Astron as a backup, and the Comatic will be coming to Belle Island with the Beaumont as a backup while the Legionnaire is getting a refit. And then when the Legionnaire comes back, the Comatic will go back on the Strait of Belle Island. I hope I made some sense of that, but I have trouble sometimes keeping all this straight in my own head. But we're in this very challenging fall, and but it's important fall. Obviously, people, it's their lifeline to getting back and forth to the from their community. So we're working on trying to get it all sorted out, but it's always a challenge. But we'll endeavour to do our best, I guess.
Yeah, when it comes to transportation infrastructure, we could be here all day, Barry. But I appreciate the time as minister that you gave me today. Maybe we can follow up on the contracts, and the 4 more vessels for the ferry and other coastal ferries as well. I really appreciate the time. Happy Friday the 13th, and happy Paddy's Day.
Same to you, Brian. Anytime.
Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. That is the Minister, Barry Pettin, MHA, PCMHA for CBS, Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure. A little bit over the break, Dave. Your response to anything that the Minister had to say there, we welcome it here on Open Line. Off to the break, back with Ray on Churchill Falls after the break.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
It's time for your Money Minute with BDO License Insolvency Trustee Nancy Snedden. Nancy, what's your advice for everyone struggling with the cost of living right now?
This is a good question. Many people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it can feel like a real struggle to get ahead. If you're struggling to make ends meet, the first thing to do is to create a budget. It's the only way to see where you're spending your money and identify ways to save consistently. Reducing spending is also important, and I know that it can be challenging when many of us have already cut back so much. But if there's any way to lower your costs, you should do it. Finally, look at your debt. Do you have a plan to pay it off? If not, it's time to create a plan to tackle that. If your debt feels insurmountable and you can't see how you'll ever be able to pay it off, a licensed insolvency trustee like me can help. I'm a licensed professional who can help you take control of your finances. I can reduce the amount you owe overall and your monthly payments. I'm here to help you without judgment.
Take care of your financial health. For more helpful advice on managing debt, visit bdodebt.ca to book a free consultation.
The next Lotto Max jackpot is an estimated $30 million. How would you dream to the max if you won?
I'd take my friends to a ball game at every major league stadium.
Now that's dreaming to the max. Get your ticket today. Must be 19 or over.
To ensure your beverage containers are accepted at the Green Depot, prepare them properly. Please remove caps, straws, garbage, and liquid. Ensure labels are left on and containers are not crushed or broken. Give them a rinse and they'll get the green light. Learn more at mmsb.nl.ca.
From the kitchen to the pub, East Coast, West Coast, and the Big Land, music captures the soul of Newfoundland and Labrador. Music NL is here to help artists across our province. Join Music NL today to connect with other musicians and stay up to date with all the latest news, opportunities, and events, helping their members build successful careers in the music industry. Learn more at musicnl.ca. Music NL, music cultivated at home and celebrated everywhere.
Does rolling over in bed make you dizzy? Do you avoid lying flat at the dentist or hair salon chairs? Do you have balance problems or a fear of falling? Dizziness and balance problems are treatable. At NL Balance and Dizziness Center, our team of experienced physiotherapists provides specialized care for vertigo and balance disorders. Recovery and relief are just a call away at 709-700-1474 or visit us online at nlbalance.com or our St. John's or Grand Falls Windsor clinics.
Beat the supermarket prices with Piper's. Piper's is your place to save on groceries, snacks, and a whole lot more. In this week's flyer, get Laura's Secord Marshmallow Bunnies, 15 grams, just 50 cents each. Easter Marshmallow Peeps, bunnies or chicks, $3.29. Bunny Fields Milk Chocolate Easter Bunnies, 175 grams, $6.99. Campbell's Soups, 99 cents each. And Clark Beans, 3 for $5. Piper's, Newfoundland's Newfoundland store. Check out the flyer at pipers.ca.
Are you a survivor of sexual violence, including assault, harassment, childhood abuse, or the distribution without your consent of intimate images? You may be entitled to compensation. My name is Jennifer Heller, a lawyer at Budden Hiscock Lawyers. Our compassionate team is here to guide you through the legal process, ensuring your voice is heard and your privacy protected. Call us at 709-576-0077 for a free and confidential consultation. Budden Hiscock Lawyers. We recognize the courage it takes to share your story.
Attention new Canadians, newcomer artists, art professionals, and creative leaders. Join the Association for New Canadians on March 14th and 15th for Building Creative Careers, a free all-ages weekend at the Johnson Geo Center starting at 11 a.m. Learn essential skills for your arts career, explore the Arts Industry Awareness Fair for networking and industry insights, and experience our multicultural arts showcases. Have questions or want to participate in the fair? Email creativearts@ancnl.ca. This event is made possible through the financial support of Heritage Canada.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. Just a quick traffic note. I just got along there, and it's an important one. Someone traveling along the Trans-Canada Highway is reporting near the Holyrood turnoff in the westbound lanes, there is a significant buildup of water, apparently. A few inches of it there, just as you turn off, make that turn off to the ramp. So a risk of hydroplaning from a caller, from a driver just went through that area. Said it's a serious concern, just witnessed it firsthand. Somebody sliding sideways on the water, not the ice. So there you go. One more time to see. Just want to make sure I got the area right here. Water buildup due to the high snowbanks on the side of the road at the Holyrood turnoff. So about 3 inches of water in the passing lane going westbound. So there you go. Keep an eye out for that and slow it down. Needless to say, on a day like today, if you're driving the actual speed limit, you're going too fast. And and I'm sure that's not the only area out there. So keep this top of mind. As I mentioned earlier, we've had some pretty heavy downpours here in the last little while, and especially just before coming on the show. So it's an issue. Keep it top of mind. Let's go right to line. Dave, we got line 4. What am I doing, Dave? Where am I going? Taking line 4? Line 4. Howard, you're on the air.
Thank you very much. When I was in school and university, I learned a lot of good stuff about the United States. And the United States is a good country, and it probably still is. But Donald Trump is destroying the United States as fast as he can. He's a self-appointed dictator. No one can say a word, only him. And no one got the White House, Congress was useless. He got everything showed up. And that's my message for you, destroying the United States as fast as he can. And he started that war in Iran. He caused that war. That war could rage on for years. And that's my main message. United States, get rid of that Donald Trump as fast as you can. He'll destroy you and everybody else.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate the call, Howard. Geez, just the name alone, you wonder where to go with it. It's interesting. Where do you start with that, and where do you end with it? With any luck, at the end of this term, I mean, there's a lot of. There are elections coming up. The biggest fear for a lot of people is that he'll insert himself into that. And there's still concerns that he'll try to, wiggle his way into another term. I don't know. And, he's become a copycat. If you look at some of the things, he wants, the terms he's using now with regard to the Iran war, fire and fury. And, these are the pejorative terms that you see come out, in these statements, these grand, verbose statements that come out. And, he's latched on to that now. And you got to have all the gold in the White House and imitate the military parades that the Russians have or the North Koreans. And on that note, I think it's just a matter of time before Kim Jong-un rises up again. He's probably all peeved that he's not getting any attention, because the less attention he gets, all of a sudden, I'm expecting him to rise any day for some more saber rattling coming out of North Korea, to be perfectly honest.
Yes. Yes, well, it's a sad situation. One good thing might come out of that. They might be turned from Donald Trump, and they'll get rid of it one way or the other. But it's got to go, and the quicker the better.
Yeah, and it's a wonder, all the people who fall in line behind him, how long it'll take them to fall out. And it's a real. It's not even a conspiracy theory anymore. There's almost no denial of the fact that, distractions from the big issues, such as the Epstein files. I will just say, God forbid that the Iran war was started simply as a distraction to the Epstein files. I mean, until they give us one solid, legitimate reason why this had to happen now and put us all in a tailspin, whether it's gas and supplies of food and everything else, all the trickle-down domino effects of this happening to us now, it's just making life worse for everybody. And they talk about reserves in the United States. They're no longer an importer, they're an exporter, so they can, and to invade Venezuela and have that backup of oil. And then there's always conspiracies about whether or not this is to placate Putin in some way, because Russia is reaping it. They're raking it in on the oil right now. Oh, yes.
Yes, Russia is gaining fast, and the United States is losing fast.
Well, let's just, time is hopefully, we don't want to rush time because we only have so little of it here on Earth, but, the sooner the sooner we can settle that down, the sooner there'll be more stability on this globe with any luck at all. Howard, just coming up to the news, do you want a final comment to wrap her up?
I'll just say this: the United States as fast as they can, and I'm disappointed the United States was foolish enough to vote him in the first place. And I don't understand anybody voting for him. Don't understand it.
It's a tough one for me, too. Tough one for most of us common sense, sane individuals, But anyway, Howard, look, I appreciate it. Always appreciate the call. Don't be a stranger. There's lots of
Thank you very much.
Lots of meat on that bone. Thank you very much for the call.
Thank you very much.
Okay, have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Dave, off to that news break, and we'll come right back with Madonna on the need for a new hospital right after a break.
You're listening to the VOCM Big Land FM radio network. Stingray radio stations. Local news now. A VOCM news update.
This news presented by Mako Hearing Service, 84 Thorburn Road. Phone 726-HEAR. That's 726-4327.
At 11 o'clock, we have a bit of light drizzle. The temperature at 11, and winds are gusting to 70 at the airport. Good morning. I'm Sarah Strickland. The owner of the Landings Eatery and Pub in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's, is planning to rebuild after fire consumed the building this week. The blaze broke out Tuesday morning, prompting the evacuation of nearby homes because of the heavy smoke. 4 fire departments responded, and the ferry service between the Cove and Bell Island was interrupted for several hours. The restaurant occupied the top floor, and a food processing facility to prepare ready-to-eat meals was in the works for the lower portion. Property owner Jim Parsons says one of his customers was going to be the School Lunch Association, as the food would have been local and a healthier option for kids.
A couple of years ago, the federal government of Canada put out a nationwide school meal program where it was kind of a farm-to-plate concept where the kids would eat much healthier food, much healthier in the sense that it's not ultra-processed or we import a lot of this food right now, but we were looking at a whole movement of local food, healthy food, and we were just on the verge of opening it.
About 24 people are now out of a job. Insurance was carried. Stats Canada says employment came in sharply lower than expected in February as a surprise drop of 84,000 jobs pushed the unemployment rate up 2 ticks to 6.7%. Canadian press reporter Michelle Zadikian has this report.
The agency says last month's job losses were concentrated among youth and men between the ages of 25 and 54, with decreases coming largely from full-time and private sector work. The sharp drop in jobs came after 25,000 positions were lost in January, offsetting some of the employment gains in the economy last fall. The wholesale and retail trade sector led February's losses in the services side of the economy, though goods-producing sectors like construction and manufacturing also shed positions. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press.
Another member of the Brad Gujou rink is moving on. The skip put the broom in the closet after the Brier in St. John's, and Jeff Walker, who has been part of the team for 15 years, says all good things eventually come to an end. Walker says winning the Brier in St. John's in 2017 is a memory that he will never forget, and having the opportunity to play one final time last week made it even more special. Walker, who thanked fans for their support over the years in a post to social media, did not indicate where he would land. Mark Nichols and Brendan Botcher are the other two members of the foursome, but neither has given any indication of what's next. Whiskey is distilled all over the world, but for one man who is renowned in that industry, he says there's nothing like what's being made in Canada. Dr. Don Livermore, recently named as the 2025 World Master Blender of the Year, was in St. John's yesterday for an event at the Gypsy Tea Room. Livermore is the first Canadian to receive the distinction. He believes it brings awareness to the work being done in this country.
I think the bar is already high on Canadian whiskey. I think it's actually bringing the awareness to the quality, and the whiskey makers here in Canada are some of the world's best. And I think it just highlights what we've been doing so well for so long already.
Up next, your VOCM weather forecast.
Discover the future of hearing with Mako Hearing's latest technology, the Phonak Audiosphere.
I have never before seen anything that can clear background noise like this technology. And it's now available in a custom in-ear rechargeable model.
Whether you're in a busy restaurant or a crowded room, the Phonak Sphere ensures you hear what truly matters.
Call today, 726-HEAR. That's 726-4327. Mako Hearing Service. We care about the way you hear.
This VOCM weather is brought to you by Vogue Optical, where your second pair is always free. Let Vogue Optical arrange your next eye exam today. Trust us, your eyes will thank you.
St. John's Metro, rest of the Avalon, RDF with southwesterly winds at 70, except gusting to 100 along parts of the coast with a high of 13. Cloudy this evening. Skies will clear up overnight. Westerly winds at 50 and a low of -5. Sun and cloud tomorrow, high of +1. Clarenville, central Newfoundland, rain changing to snow this afternoon, temperature falling to -2, flurries, then clear skies tonight. Westerlies will gust to 80 this evening, but then drop off overnight, a low of -9. Sun and clouds Saturday, high -1. South coast, rain changing to flurries, westerly winds gusting to 80 and the temperature falling to +2. Flurries will end overnight, westerlies at 40, low -5. Sun and cloud tomorrow, westerlies 30 and a high of -3. For the west coast, southwest coast, northern peninsula, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow and ice pellets today, westerlies 50, temperature falling to -6. Flurries ending overnight, westerly winds 40, low -8. Sun and cloud tomorrow with a high of -2. Happy Valley Goose Bay, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow today, northerlies 30, high -11. Light snow will end this evening, then skies clear, low -24. Sunshine on Saturday, high -11. Labrador West today, mainly cloudy, high -17. Clear skies tonight, low -35. The wind chill -45. Sunshine tomorrow, high -13. And the north coast, sunny breaks today, northerlies 30 and a high of -16. Clear skies tonight, northwesterly winds 30, low -24. And sunny for tomorrow, westerlies at 30 and a high of -15. Right now in St. John's, it's cloudy out there, but it's still a little misty and drizzly at times, a little bit of fog. Temperatures at 11, and winds are gusting to 90 over at the airport. I'll be back with all the news of the day at 12 noon. For VOCM News, I'm Sarah Strickland.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. Thank you very much, Sarah Strickland. Reporting blowing a gale out there. Still 11 degrees, though, so it's one of those weird March days, that's for sure. And a quick note, got a traffic note. There's a truck on fire, I assume it still is, got a few minutes ago, on the Southern Shore Highway. And this is southbound or in just beyond Torres Cove, just past the Brown Rabbit Cabins. I know that place well. Spent a lot of time out there. So on that straightaway there just before... or just past the Brown Rabbit Cabins as you're heading down the Southern Shore. So keep an eye out on that truck on fire there. I'm not sure if there's first responders, may even be out. Anyone wants to give me an update there, we are all over it. Let's go right to line number 2. And Patrice Gordon, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thanks. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Interested to talk about what's happening in childcare.
Yes, and you remember the steering committee, are you? The NL steering committee member on the childcare now?
I am a steering committee member for childcare now in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Okay, so what is the number one topic on your mind, Patrice, right now when it comes to this? We've heard a lot of political back and forth, but we know the needs are real. What can you tell us this morning?
We're particularly concerned about early childhood educators and the fact that the government has said nothing. Well, prior to the meetings in the House this week, the government had said nothing about ECE wages, pensions, and working conditions. Now, Childcare Now, Newfoundland and Labrador has been advocating for a long time for improvements in the working conditions of early childhood educators, for an increase in wages, for benefits, and for a defined benefits pension plan. Now, we have since the CWELC agreement, which is the Canada-wide early learning and childcare agreement that has been signed with the federal government, we have seen a wage grid implemented for early childhood educators. So it has been streamlined, and ECEs are being paid on the same level in most cases, but that has been in place since 2023 without any increase in wages. When wages have increased, the minimum wage has increased 4 times since 2021, and since the wage grid has been implemented, ECE wages have not increased. There are ECEs that work in the sector, have been working in the sector for upwards of 30 years, and they don't have a defined benefit pension plan, and it's worrying for them. There are a lot of ECEs. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just as a reminder, Patrice, where are the salaries now? And by your calculations, given, as you said, the increases in the minimum wage, where should they be?
Right now, they're below a livable wage. They're below livable wage, and ECEs are professionals that have to go to school to study. A lot of people they have done degrees. Some people have done masters, and when they look in and see that there is no movement, there is no scope for movement on the wage grid, it has 3 levels and 4 stages, and when they get to stage 4, there is no room for an increase. People have been at step 4 for a long time, since they have been in the system, since the system has been implemented, and they have seen no improvement in their wage. There's nothing to look forward to, and people are leaving the early childhood sector and going into the school system or going to work with government, because that's where they can look forward to an increase in their salary and benefits. Benefits is a big part of what we're looking for. Paid sick days, an improvement in the medical benefits plan that has been implemented.
Yeah, so, I've heard the Liberal opposition leader, John Hogan, say that, parents were told that the new policy would include for early childhood educators, no wage increases and for participating in the program, which the Liberals claim to have rolled out in conjunction with the feds, but that nothing's been moved. Are you in the same boat as so many other organizations waiting to see? And I don't know what direct communication or direct promises or commitments you have for the budget, but everything right now seems to hinge largely on the budget and how the government's going to do this move and this massaging of whether it's the deficit, the debt, and the promises made, and the money they have. I mean, we just saw, they're getting leaner and meaner by the day. Are you hopeful that there will be some light at the end of the tunnel in the budget?
Well, that's all we can be hopeful, because there have been no promises, no commitments made. The Minister of Education had said in the House yesterday that it's a federal project. The CWELC agreement is federal and provincial, so it is the expectation that the provincial government will put money into it. We can't depend solely on the federal government. Childcare needs to be something that's publicly operated. It should be. It's a government's business. This is children, and every child has a right to education and care in their early years. And we don't think that the government is thinking about the children or thinking about the parents that need to go to work. The Premier keeps talking about the sectors that are going to be advanced with, are going to be extended, and the workers that are going to have more work. But how are these people going to work if they don't have early learning and care for their children? It's not possible. We have seen economic improvements because women in particular have been able to go back to work given this $10 a day childcare. $10 a day to a lot of families is a lot. People have seen great differences because they have more income, they have more disposable income, they have more opportunity to work and to see their children grow and succeed.
Is there a risk that the lack of increase in wages over that period of time, as Mr. Hogan mentioned, could lead to less participation in the $10 a day program? Is that a real risk, or is that politics?
I couldn't say, but I know what the risk is. If ECEs don't see better pay and better working conditions, better compensation, they are going to leave the system. Retention and recruitment is very important to this sector, and we're not going to get them to come in, and if they do come in, we're not going to get them to stay, because nobody wants to stay in a system where they can't see the way forward. They can't do anything with the money that ECEs are getting. And if it's like we're not valued. I'm an ECE. I forgot to say in the beginning, I am also an ECE. And so I feel personally what other ECEs are talking about. There is no way that ECEs can live on the income that we have in the wage grid with no increase. And it's not fair, and we feel like we're not heard and we're not valued. And again, you've had meetings where you've been heard, but I guess the question is, have you been listened to? Good point. We had a meeting, Childcare Now and some other stakeholders have had a meeting with the Minister of Education, and since the OGP document came out, we've requested a meeting with government. We haven't heard anything. And all we're trying to say is we are the people on the ground. Mm-hmm. We have people that look at policies. We have tons of documents that give facts to the legitimacy of investing in an early learning and childcare system. It's an investment. It's not throwing money away. When you invest in childcare, early learning, you invest in the future of the country. You invest in the future of the province. You invest in the economy. It's common sense. I don't think it's that hard, but people just are not looking at the value of putting money into early learning.
Yeah, and it's the government trying to decide where they invest because, we're not flush with cash and everybody's on tenterhooks, just waiting to see which gets it because every group, Patrice, no offense to the ECs, but everybody can find that argument. You could say this about nursing. We have to invest in it for the outcome. But when we talk about early childhood learning, it's another level altogether. Setting up kids for learning or learning how to learn, they are the future. And it's pretty easy to say that, and it's pretty straightforward, and it is common sense, but it's the old two things. First, common sense, not all that common, and second, all of your answers to all of your questions is money. And, again, as I said earlier, it's going to be fascinating to see how this is one of the most highly anticipated budgets in a long time for a lot of people to see how this is going to be turned around, and all the promises will be kept that were made.
Yep, I'm glad that you said that, Brian, but I'm going to go back to COVID, and I'm going to go back to ECEs were, at that point, essential workers. And the reason we were is that's the only way other people could get out to work. Nurses that have children cannot go to work if they don't have early childhood educators behind them. So all of what you're saying is valid, and I totally get it, and I'm right there behind you. But the fact of the matter is, if there are no ECEs to look after these children and to educate these children that are the future, people cannot go to work. We have heard from grandparents that talk about them not being able to be grandparents because they have to be carers. These are people that they're in retirement and they want to enjoy their grandchildren, but they can't because they have to be playing this role of education and care. They have to be doing that role. So the grandparents are suffering too. If there are no early childhood educators in the province will not move forward economically.
Nope, absolutely. Patrice, well articulated. It's got to start there because it's a trickle-down effect, isn't it? It really is.
It is. It is a trickle effect.
We are all waiting with, bated breath to see how this all works out. And to see where all the money goes and comes from. With a couple of really big projects on the horizon that might or might not be able to solve all of our problems. Well, we'll see. Patrice, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you. And, if you hear anything in the offing and get any indications of what might be specifically allocated for ECEs in the upcoming budget, by all means, we're all ears.
Thank you very much. And just to emphasize, everyone needs to get behind us. Childcare Now Newfoundland and Labrador. We're advocating for parents. We're advocating for families, for children, for early childhood educators. Your support will mean a lot to us. childcarenownl.ca is our email. Follow us on socials. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Patrice. Take care.
You're welcome. Take care.
Okay, bye. Okay, that's a big one, and we all know it. Kids of that age, we need those supports. There's no question. That's not a political statement. That's just a fact. Let's take that break, and we'll be right back.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
Now's the time to pack the pub. VOCM is marking St. Patrick's Day with our annual Pack the Pub food drive, supporting the Community Food Sharing Association. Drop off your non-perishable food donations now through Sunday at the Newfoundland Embassy. Join us live Sunday, March 15th from 12 to 4 p.m. as VOCM broadcasts from the Embassy to celebrate the green while helping our community. Let's restock the province's food bank shelves together. VOCM's Pack the Pub, brought to you by QP Newfoundland and Labrador.
And now, give a warm welcome to the new Scratch and Win ticket from Atlantic Lottery. Try the $10 Explosion ticket with 5,000 prizes of $500 or the $5 Electric 8 ticket with top prizes of $58,000. Get yours today. Must be 19 or over.
Welcome to Orem Homes, St. John's newest seniors personal care home and independent living, where all-inclusive living means more of what you love. Catch a movie in our theater with friends, enjoy a fresh coffee in Rita's Cafe, cheer on your team in the Clubhouse Sports Bar, or unwind with a good book in the library. Here, comfort meets community, and every detail is taken care of. Call today to reserve your suite, 709-533-3321. Orem Homes, St. John's, the best place to live.
At Kent, there's no such thing as DIY projects because you don't have to do it yourself. We're here to help with unbeatable value.
4 days only this Thursday through Sunday. Save the tax on appliances. Plus, get free delivery and haul away on special order appliances. Don't wait. These savings won't last. Some exclusions apply. Visit us in-store today.
Forget about DIY. Here, it's DIT. Do it together. Check out the flyer at kent.ca for even more deals. Kent Building Supplies. Look what we've built together.
Is your child getting ready for kindergarten? NLAO, the Government of Newfoundland, and the Essilor Vision Foundation of Canada has launched the I Learn program. It provides a free eye exam for children who are not covered under private insurance when preparing for kindergarten. It's important that your child have a chance to achieve their full learning potential. If vision problems are found and treated early, it will significantly impact their success. To learn more about the I Learn program, visit nlao.org.
So someone's been injured at work. Whether it's a physical or psychological injury, here's how to help. Support them on the road to recovery. Like Sanjay, who checks in on how their employee is doing at work. Or Serena's psychologist, who is helping her meet her goals, which include safe work. When employers, workers, and healthcare professionals work together, a healthy return to work is possible. Getting back is part of getting better. Learn more at workplacenl.ca.
Does rolling over in bed make you dizzy? Do you avoid lying flat at the dentist or hair salon chairs? Do you have balance problems or a fear of falling? Dizziness and balance problems are treatable. At NL Balance and Dizziness Center, our team of experienced physiotherapists provides specialized care for vertigo and balance disorders. Recovery and relief are just a call away at 709-700-1474 or visit us online at nlbalance.com or our St. John's or Grand Falls Windsor clinics.
At Pizza Delight, we've got family fun for less on Kids Eat Free Tuesdays. Kids 10 and under get a kids menu meal free with minimum adult purchase. That's good food, happy kids, and real value. Come home to Pizza Delight. Visit store for details and conditions.
For when you need mobile service that keeps up with your life, there's Eastlink. Save more on the phone you want with the coast-to-coast coverage you expect and flexible data plans you need for less. Give us a call or visit your Eastlink store today.
Beat the afternoon slump with your VOCM. Tune in for local events, lighthearted banter, news, weather, and traffic updates. Those last few work hours will fly by with Claudette Barnes and your VOCM.
VOCM Open Line is brought to you by Janes and Noseworthy, licensed insolvency trustees. It's okay to get help with your debt, and finding someone local you can trust makes all the difference.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the program. Let's go right to line number one and welcome Elvis Lovelace, the Liberal MHA for Fortune Bay, Cape Lejeune, and the former Minister of Transportation. You're on the air.
How are you, Brian?
Grand, sir. How are you for Friday? Although Fridays aren't what they used to be. Hey, boy.
No, absolutely. But listen, the spring is coming, so and the summer is coming, so that's a good thing.
We live in hope. We live in hope.
Yeah. Absolutely. Brian, let me begin by saying that I appreciate your commentary because you are fair and you are balanced, and those are listening to you because you are factual and you present both sides and let your listener to determine if it's right or wrong. And so I appreciate that because I've always asked that commentators or even media to do that because the listeners and the viewers need to get the full story to determine what they think in their minds. And I know a lot, you've mentioned a lot this morning about budgets and this budget coming in and everything else and the challenges around it. Let me leave a fact to listeners this morning, and I think something that you can certainly incorporate into your conversations too, that the PC government is faced with almost $1 billion deficit. I get that that's challenging, but remember in 2015 when we took government at the time, I was not part of the government at the time, but there was a $2.7 billion deficit that we were faced with. That's 10 years of trying to finance $2.7 billion, and in that 10 years you had COVID, which was really around 3 years. You had a lot of disasters, so there were a lot of challenges, and then you tried to finance that debt and that deficit and try to provide services throughout the province. So it is enormous, but it shouldn't be lost on people, and we should remind people that, it was 2.7 then. It's around $1 billion then or now. And I know it's a challenge, absolutely. But that's not what I call about, and maybe someday I can talk more about the finances piece. But, Brian, let me begin by saying the TI staff, Transportation Infrastructure staff, they are the minister. Well, minister was on this morning. The staff that he has are the ones that I had, and I'm telling you, I appreciate every one of them, and I value them and respect them 100%. But yesterday's announcement, if I can use the phrase of two steps forward, that I believe the Liberal government did in terms of we investing $1.4 billion a few years ago in road work because it was necessary. Well, it's 2 steps forward by us, but 3 steps backwards yesterday by the PC government, or even 5 steps. The minister can try to paint it whichever way he wants to and will over the next week or whatever amount of time, but this is a cut. The investment in roads work is a cut from yesterday, from years before. We heard from industry, and I'm putting on my former minister's hat now, when we made the $1.4 billion investment. Here's the reason why we made it, because we listened to industry. Industry said they need consistency and assurance so they can invest in equipment, and most important, to invest in employing people in rural parts of the province, because a lot of work was being done in rural parts of the province, and it needs to be, because it's the province as a whole, not just the bigger centers. Brian, I would say the companies and industry are very frustrated this morning because they're challenged now. And I know because the companies have said, even before we made our investment, we can't do this. Like, I'm challenged now with calling workers back who were expecting to go to work this spring, and now possibly I won't be calling them back because we won't have the work. That's job loss. So it's very concerning, Brian, and I'll stop there just in case you want to engage in the conversation, because I do have more to say.
Well, I was just going to, the word that jumped out at me was possibly. I mean, you know, that goes down the road of, okay, you know, is there smoke? Is there fire? You know, is that going to happen? I mean, there's so much uncertainty. I will just say in the larger context, Elvis, you know, you and I both know the process that goes into a budget and goes into a roads plan.
Yep.
And it was a 5-year plan, as you mentioned, that under former Premier Fury in March of 2023, that was put on the table, and it's supposed to expire in 28. The minister, as you said, right, he just called it, you know, they call it right-sizing the budget. Do you know for sure? Can you put tangible numbers on, you know, I mean, you're getting calls from people who are nervous, but you know, no decisions have been made. There's still a budget to come. Do we wait the extra month before we start screaming, cry wolf, or anything like that?
Well, but we can, because the minister is saying $250 million investment, and I know, you know, where that's coming from, because the industry itself, we have a very short season to do work in the province, and there are in terms of capacity, yes, we do have a limited amount of companies, but I'm telling you, capacity, the companies can do the work, absolutely 100%. But Brian, I guess the uncertainty, who's created that uncertainty? Because, and it's the PC government, when they made their promises during the election, I firmly believe, and the people are realizing that they overpromised, but they will not deliver. And that's where the uncertainty is coming from. And the uncertainty of not knowing is worse than knowing, as far as I'm concerned. If you allow me the time, I just want to bring rural Newfoundland and Labrador. And I said yesterday in the House of Assembly, and the Minister of Finance agreed, that when we look at policy decisions and investment in Newfoundland and Labrador, we have to have a rural lens. Absolutely, 100%. I represent a district that's totally rural. And one of the, I believe, is one of the bright spots of the province in terms of economic development and what's going on. And when I got elected in 2019, the Route 360 was voted as probably one of the worst. It was voted as among the top 3 worst roads in Atlantic Canada, because for 12 years before, and maybe years before that, I'm not saying blame it all on the PC government, but there was not consistent investment by the PC government in that area. When I got elected, I pressed on the government, we need consistency. Enough of doing some 1 year and then wait 3 years, do more. We need consistency in these areas. And the reason being and I use my district because I'm proud to represent that district, we have 3 fish plants down there. We have a mining operation down in Blorum. We have fishery, the natural fishery and aquaculture, hydro in Bay d'Espère. I mean, it's a gem down there, providing supply of power to the province
and a lot of traffic.
And totally a lot of traffic. But I'll tell you another thing that I'm worried about is, and in terms of the great economic case for investing in rural Newfoundland, this is what I'm trying to get at, because we do have. And when I went to the department, I noticed that in terms of looking at just roads that were high traffic, we're going to pave. I said, if that's the case, then rural Newfoundland will never see investment. But you just can't look at if it's 4 vehicles. You got to look at what vehicles are carrying and what they're doing down there. We have loads of fish coming up and down the road. Now you have the mining piece and the hydro officials and vehicles and everything else, plus everyone else. So, you know, the economic case is there, but yesterday there was no investment for down in my area other than what was committed before by us. It's unfortunate. I believe it's an attack on rural Newfoundland and Labrador, and again, overpromising and not being delivered. But I'll end by this, Brian, if you don't mind. You asked the minister about their promises and the words of, really your question was, did you guys overpromise. And he said to you, well, we desire to follow through on. So that's a new word. The last few weeks we've heard from the PC government, even on Beta Nord, hopefully we will, possibly we will, maybe we will. And now a new word is we desire to follow through on our commitments. I don't know. The people of the province should be very worried moving forward. But giving them the benefit of the doubt, we'll see what brings in this new budget, and we'll be watching. We have questions to ask. We're going to hold them accountable for what I believe is overpromise, can't deliver. And I'll finish off by saying, not my words, but somebody else's words that has been said many, many times, that Tory times are hard times. I hope it's not, but I think the path that we see moving forward is it will be tough times.
Yeah, Elvis, listen, Elvis Loveless, I appreciate the time, only because time is not our friend right now, and I'm already a little over break. I appreciate all of that. I guess the last thing I would say is wait and see. I hate to be in that corner, but it is true. We're not too far off. We don't have an exact date for the budget, but right now it's all bluster and talk. Not no disrespect to what the opposition has to do, but really it's all talk right now. We're pontificating, we're wondering, we're hoping, we're promising. The budget will tell the tale, and we'll see what happens now in the not too distant future. I really appreciate the call. Thanks, you.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we'll call again some other time on different topics to have a good conversation for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Elvis. Take care.
All the best. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. That's the MHA, Liberal MHA for Fortune Bay, Cape Lahoon. Elvis Loveless, former transportation minister, speaks with some experience, to say the least. Let's get off to our second last break of the morning, and back with Madonna. Do we need a new hospital? Right after the break.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
A new year brings new possibilities. This is your moment to build a better life for you and your family. Discover a career with meaning, one that recognizes your gift for caring and compassion. At Total Care Nursing, you'll find a satisfying wage, group insurance benefits, help with retirement planning, and flexible scheduling that fits your life. 2026 is a year with purpose. Join a supportive team that values growth, respect, stability, and your future today. Visit Total Care Nursing or call 466-5505. Total Care, because we care.
Hey, it's Joanne from Colair Contracting. Does your heat bill think you're living on a luxury yacht? Meanwhile, you're paddling up creek. If you can't seem to catch a break from high heating cost, let Colair help reel it in with our winter warmth promotion. You can now own your very own mini split for as low as $43 a month. And yes, that's fully installed with a warranty. A deal you'll be bragging to your buddies about. You're the captain now. Cast your worries away and drop us a line or call Colair at 709-727-2680.
Persons with disabilities are choosing Hancock Financial Solutions for their registered disability savings plans.
We have worked with Dion and his team managing our son's RDSP. The best move we ever made was to give them a call.
Open an RDSP today. For more, call 709-634-0071 or HancockFinancialSolutions.ca. Hancock Financial Solutions, in your home, in your community.
Mutual funds offered through Investia Financial Services.
Movement should fit your life, not the other way around. Verso On Demand gives you full access to explore our signature programs, including Pilates, Train, Yoga, Spin, Bar, Mindfulness, and more. With new classes released every 2 weeks, On Demand is available for streaming wherever you are, whenever you're ready. Beginner-friendly guides, simple how-tos, and minimal setup options. It's easy to find what works for you. No schedules, no pressure. Just press play and move. Verso On Demand. Anytime, anywhere.
Safety NL has been a trusted partner in safety training throughout the province for over 70 years. We are a leading provider of training in driver education, motorcycles, off-road vehicles, and occupational health and safety. Our government-approved Learn to Drive program teaches safety first, helping new drivers get their license with confidence. We're delighted to have recently introduced the Learn to Drive program to Gander and the surrounding area. Go to safetynl.ca to register.
In our community, no one should ever have to go hungry. We're aware of the struggles faced by many in need, and that's where the Salvation Army steps in. But we can't do it alone. Because of the generosity of our donors, we're able to provide nourishing meals to hungry children, working families, seniors, and others in need. These donations also help us stock food bank shelves and extend a lifeline to our neighbors in times of hardship. To learn more or to donate, please visit salvationarmy.ca. Together, they ensure comfort and renew hope for all.
Your home is your fortress against the winter cold. But is it defended against pests? Mice are seeking warmth and can get in through the smallest cracks. Republic Pest Solutions is your local defense against winter pests. With over 20 plus years of industry experience, they know how to keep your property and family safe. Don't wait for an invasion. Call Republic Pest Solutions at 709-301-2530 or visit republicpestsolutions.com. The local solution to your pest problem.
Flea and tick season is here. Scratch and save at Pet Value with Canine Advantage 2 and Advantage 2. Scratch to win up to $50 off your purchase. Get your card at your local Pet Value store before April 1st.
Think you're okay to drive after a few drinks? Think again. Every year, impaired driving kills and injures hundreds of Canadians. It's not just your life on the line, it's everyone else's too. Make the smart choice. Call a cab, use a rideshare, or crash on a friend's couch. A few bucks now could save a life later. It's just not worth it. Don't drink and drive.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
All right, we're definitely in the home stretch for the Friday and the week here on Open Line. Got a few callers in the queue just waiting. I'm going to get to you as quick as I can. First one, Madonna on line 1. Go right ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Madonna. Pretty good.
I'm just wondering, on your open line this week, someone's brought up the point that there's a lot of beds in the hospital utilised for older people, for senior citizens, are in these beds waiting for a place to go, a home to open up, a bed to open up that they can be moved out to. That doesn't sound like it's the optimal use for our hospital beds.
No, but it's
been... I'm just wondering...
But it's been going on forever and a day, especially in the wake of COVID. But before that, I mean, we have people with different needs that don't need to be in acute care beds and taking up spaces in acute care. This is, the whole Western Memorial was built around this. But yet there's still people on gurneys and stretchers and that sort of thing in the hallways. It's constant. It's a problem we have, trying to get people, move people from acute care where that's not what they need. They need long-term care. They need other types of specific types of care that are not for the physically or what can I say, for emergent care, immediate care. They're going to hospitals for the wrong reasons in some cases. We know we have a long wait list of long-term, and trying to move people out, the system of trying to move people out of acute into the proper, all the different words and the bureaucratic words are failing me right now, which is fine. I don't miss that at all. But yeah, in that sense, it's a constant problem. It's been pointed out, and a lot of these issues have been pointed out by the current health minister, the new health minister, Lil Evans. But how we do it, how we increase that capacity is still a work in progress, clearly. And it comes down to not just the bricks and mortar, but the staff.
Well, I had a conversation last night with a friend who lives in this area, and I'm talking about from St. Mary's, say, to Mount Carmel. And Sherry Gavin Walsh, if I don't mind for using her name, she probably can speak to this better than I, because
sure,
I'm
the MHA
here.
Sure.
But there's at least 5 old age homes that have closed down in this one area in the past decade or so, and they haven't been replaced. So this is places that seniors would go to, like they could be housed in these buildings, and if they've been torn down or used for other things, not been replaced. I could name you a dozen seniors, men, but mostly women, who are now living in their homes, and they're really not able to be staying there. I mean, they have health issues. They have family who try to help them out, but some of them don't. And here they are, in my honest opinion, like they should be helped along better than what they are. And there's no place for them to go.
And there's no disagreement here. The Health Accord, the 10-year Health Accord also, this was a pillar of that, put together by Dr. Parfrey and others. And again, another shout out to Dr. Parfrey. If you'd ever like to call the show and give some context to all of this, he left, of course, after the Tories came into government. It's the whole home support program that we have. I mean, you're talking about people in their homes and trying to move them to a care home. I mean, it's the other way around. We're trying to turn that system around so that we have people who can stay in their homes with the proper care, with people with the proper training, even funding relatives to be able to, actually make a living off looking after their loved ones. What a perfect world that would be if we could, just get into that space where the comfort, the knowledge, the familiarity of your own home, people who you know. And I mean, if you have to hire home support workers, that happens too. They're great people. There's going to be issues with that we all know. But the idea, as I mentioned, the bricks and mortar that you said, all these homes that were in place, again, without the staff to run them, the point has been made. That costs money. The bricks and mortar cost money. Home support seems to be the best logical place for things to go, especially, for people who need that level of care. Again, for all the reasons I said, the familiarity. My father was in a state where we needed some support for him later, a few years ago when he became ill after a stroke. And, we had options, and one of them was bringing in home care workers, but we all thought about it. And if there was any way a relative could do it, instead of bringing in, no offense, but home care workers that you don't know are technically, by definition, strangers. So, and they don't know your habits, and they don't know your life, and they don't know your individual little needs, even though the best of them can learn over time. But if you don't have access to that, and we don't have the numbers of that, then the next best thing is a relative. A son, a daughter, a cousin, an uncle, or anyone who has the capacity to be able to come into the home and care for that person, because it's only going to make the care better.
Yeah, and there's also a shortage of those workers who are able to go around and do that. I mean, you see it on Facebook all the time, looking for someone to help with this particular relative that we had that need extra help. And the workers are just not there. That's the other problem. I know government has been promoting stay at home, you're better off to stay at home. But, for all intents and purposes, what the government has done is they're taking the financial burden off the government and putting it onto the families. Because what they expect now that the people, the families would pay for their own, largely pay for their own care.
Well, the idea is
and I'm wondering, where's it going to end? I can see the people, and I know several of them in my area. We're going to go one of those days to those houses, and guess what? We're going to go in and find the people dead. Because there's no one looking after them.
We're going to have issues. Look, these issues are going to happen. We're talking about health care. We're talking about home care. We're talking about people in many cases, some pretty dire straits, some people need a lot more care than others. But, if people are properly compensated, if there's a good program of home care support that pays, people for the specific, unique work that this is, and not just a throwaway. This is tough, hard work, especially, as I said, when you look at the unique needs that some people have. If people are properly compensated, it's not so much looking at government just dumping it off and not looking at it as an expense anymore, but it could work both ways well. It's the home support program, and whether or not it's doing the job, that's a deeper conversation with which we would require a lot more, feedback from people like yourself.
And I'm glad. I mean, I see some of the workers and they're angels. I mean, I would not be able to do it I'm a senior myself, but mentally, I couldn't do some of the things that these people do. God love them for doing it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for the day.
Madonna, it's more than 2 cents. By these days with inflation, it's more like 8 cents. So thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, take care. Right to the break, Dave, and back with John on the Rothschild Report right after the break.
Call now, 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. Newfoundland and Labrador's biggest conversation. VOCM Open Line returns in a moment.
I vow to love you in sickness and in health,
as long as we both shall live.
From this day forward.
Tiffany Village knows that love is a lifelong promise. That's why they're committed to ensuring couples can age in place together. No matter the journey, Tiffany Village's compassionate care and supportive community make every step one you'll never walk alone.
Because vows are meant to last a lifetime.
Make the vow to better senior living with Tiffany Village. For more information, contact Pat at 709-722-7999 or visit tvkp.ca.
Feeling under the weather? If you or anyone in your household, age 5 or older, has developed symptoms of a cold, flu, or COVID-19, such as runny nose, cough, fever, sore throat, fatigue, or shortness of breath within the past week, you may be eligible to join a research study led by Dr. Peter Daly. Participants will receive free test results in just 15 minutes for multiple respiratory viruses. To learn more or to check your eligibility, text 1-877-709-2982. That's 1-877-709-2982. Don't wait. Your participation matters.
Ready to build real skills? College of the North Atlantic prepares graduates for real success with hands-on programs trusted by industry. Train as a machinist and master precision metal cutting and CNC operations. Become a carpenter, reading blueprints and constructing residential and commercial projects. Or step into renewable energy with wind turbine technician, maintaining mechanical and electrical systems for next-generation wind power. Apply for fall 2026. cna.nl.ca.
In our community, no one should ever have to go hungry. We're aware of the struggles faced by many in need, and that's where the Salvation Army steps in. But we can't do it alone. Because of the generosity of our donors, we're able to provide nourishing meals to hungry children, working families, seniors, and others in need. These donations also help us stock food bank shelves and extend a lifeline to our neighbors in times of hardship. To learn more or to donate, please visit salvationarmy.ca. Together, they ensure comfort and renew hope for all.
NL Drilling and Blasting would like to advise the public that they will be performing blasting operations periodically at 250 East White Hills Road from February 10th to March 31st, 2026. Residents and businesses in the area may feel some vibrations or loud noises during the blasting operations. Again, NL Drilling and Blasting would like to advise the public that they will be performing blasting operations periodically at 250 East White Hills Road from February 10th to March 31st, 2026. Residents and businesses in the area may feel some vibrations or loud noises during the blasting operations. NL Drilling and Blasting apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause.
Debt can take over your life. The stress, the constant worry, it can feel like you're drowning. When people come to see me, they're often anxious and feeling hopeless. But when I explain how I can help them get out of debt, those feelings melt away. I'm Nancy Snedden, licensed insolvency trustee at BDO right here in Newfoundland. I will create a personalized debt relief plan so you can move forward with confidence. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to discover your debt-free future.
The Stingray Podcast Network. The Stingray Podcast Network is a collection of amazing storytellers from Canada and around the world. And that now includes VOCM's The Wellness and Healthy Lifestyle Show with Dr. Mike Wall.
If you're escaping the cold this winter, we can help you keep an eye on your home from wherever you are. Wilson Security's technicians are experts in professional security integration and can ensure that every aspect of your home protection works together, including high-def cameras and 24/7 monitoring for intrusion, smoke, flooding, and more. If you travel, have extra peace of mind that your house is warm enough when you're not home, which is key if you're concerned about frozen pipes. Get started today with a free consultation. Visit wilsonsecurity.ca to learn more. Wilson Security, your peace of mind, our priority.
The next Lotto Max jackpot is an estimated $30 million. How would you dream to the max if you won?
I'd take my friends to a ball game at every major league stadium.
Now that's dreaming to the max. Get your ticket today. Must be 19 or over.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the show. We are definitely in the home stretch. About 10 minutes left here now. Let's go without further ado right to line number 3. And John, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm seeing in my queue here that you want to talk about the Rothschild. Just as a heads up, we're going to try to squeeze in another caller. So you got about 4 or 5 minutes. Go for it.
All right, brother. Listen, are you a new guy running the show or what?
Nothing's been finalized. I am not in party or privy to the ongoings behind the scene. I'm an employee like everybody else here. So I'm just carrying on as if I'm normal.
Right on, brother. I hope you got a degree in psychology if you get this job, because you're going to need it.
Ain't that the truth?
Hey, listen, I can't help but comment. Well, actually, I want to shout out my buddy in the goals first, because he listens to the show. He's a dieharder. His name is Aki. I love you, Aki, boy. I'm calling in for you this morning.
Aki,
anyway,
what's Aki short for?
Wade Hapgood.
Oh, there you go. Now you got his full name out there.
Well, Aki's actually short for Aqualung, but I'll leave that with you. Anyway.
Oh, thank you for that.
I can't help but comment. I was listening to the sore loser liberal calling in there. Elvis, is that his name? He still sounds like a sore loser to me. But I tell you, when he's throwing that little comment in there at the end, Tory times are tough times. You got to love it, eh?
Some things
I'll
never
tell you one
change.
thing there, Elvis. If Elvis is listening, how about liberal times or have-not times there, Elvis? Eh? Since 1949, economic decline, population decline, tax increases through the roof. Thank you, liberals, for have-not times. So go Tories. Anyway, my point is for Colin. I noticed on your website this morning the Canadian Taxpayers Federation was poking the fury bear about releasing this Rothschild report. And obviously, for some reason or other, he has no intention of releasing that. No more than he released the MOU for Churchill Falls that bit the Liberal Party in the butt during the election. So we're right back in the same boat. So, I mean, God love those people, those constituents that voted in the Tory party. You did the right thing because we're right back in the same program again now. You got a report that was paid for by the taxpayers in Newfoundland and Labrador. And apparently Mr. Fury Company, when in power, they were really concerned about the future of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, and that's why they did this report. And here we are at the point now we're asking for them to open it up so we can see what it is, and it's the same old with the Liberals, right? Nope, not getting nothing. But in the meantime, we are concerned about your future and prosperity in Newfoundland and Labrador. Like, what a load of baloney there, brother. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
I do know what you mean. And when it comes to a $5.4 million of our money, at some point you want to see some of what came out of it. I mean, this was all meant to evaluate, whether we should sell off things like the NLC, Marble Mountain, oil and gas holdings. And it was, we went to some pretty knowledgeable and pricey people, the Rothschild, to get these results, and to be told now that it's all irrelevant. It's 3 years ago. It doesn't matter. It's not complete. Times have changed. We all know that. Well, that's fine, but we still want to see it. And and it's commercial sensitivities be damned 3 years later.
Right? Throw away $3.5 million and say, what odds about it? You're not getting it. Like, it's just ridiculous. This Liberal Party, I tell you, have-notters. That's what they are, brother. Anyway, maybe he'll poke, maybe Fury or his buddy, or what's his name, John Hogan, buddy who likes to wear his white sneakers into the House Assembly. I call him Pee-wee Hogan, actually, because that's what he looks like, Pee-wee Herman. So you keep wearing them white sneakers there, Johnny boy. You're looking good. But maybe he should poke Fury and say, hey, listen, chairman of the National Bank with his new job, why don't you release the report to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador that people of Newfoundland and Labrador paid for? $4.5 million? That's ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I'm telling you now. Nothing ever changes with the Liberal Party. Not but decline. Makes me sick.
John, it's palpable. I can hear it through the phone, but I got to get going. I'll give you just 30 seconds. Anything? Did you want to repeat that line or go? Look, I hear you, but I got to get to another caller. Go for it.
Okay, all right, that's good enough. Good. I'll leave it with Elvis.
All right, and best to Aki over the
Liberal times or have-not times. Liberal times or have-not times there, Elvis.
I'll put you down as undecided.
Hey, good luck. Good luck with the psychology degree. You're going to need it, brother. Cheers.
Thank you. I'll take care. Thanks, John. All right. Yep, no question where we're going there. Let's, last caller of the week and of the day. Let's go right to the PCMHA for Carboneer, Trinity Beta Verde, Riley Balsam. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Yourself. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Good.
Now, forgive me if this is this your first call to Open Line?
It is. I was going to say, as the saying goes, long-time listener, first-time caller.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Fire away. Yeah. I got about 5 minutes, Riley. I'm sorry for the short shrift, but go for it.
Yeah, no worries. No, I just want to call and talk about, our first 2 weeks in the House of Assembly. For me, it's a brand new environment. Being able to, fortunate enough to win the election here in October and represent the people of Carboneer, Trinity Beta Verde is a true honour. And, being able to speak in the House, giving my maiden speech and speaking to bills, delivering member statements, it's a true honour when I can be able to rise in the House of Assembly and talk about the people of my district out here. We are a resilient, we are a strong group, and it's a true honour to be able to sit in that House, where few people have sat before. Really, we're a group of around 400 people out of the province that have represented their districts, and knowing the people that have come before me, not just in my district here, but in the province as a whole, it's truly remarkable.
Right. I guess, because we're short of time, I'll just ask you one, loaded question, and it is, your area has no shortage of issues on the go. What's your number one for your constituents that are listening right now? What did you commit to before the election, and what's your number one commitment that you're going to keep?
Yeah, my commitment has been, always throughout the campaign was that I'm here to listen and I'm here to represent them and to bring their concerns back. My sole promise was that I would always be accessible and approachable, and that if, anyone has any issues, no matter your political stripe, just give me a call, send me an email, and, we will do, myself and my constituency assistant will do what we can to help you, get the answers and, basically just trying to help them. I mean, the biggest thing out here now, especially for the people of the North Shore, is the recovery from the wildfires this summer. And, I'm pleased to see the Cabinet Committee is making meaningful efforts, meaningful work being completed on that. And, like I said in my maiden speech, just because, the work doesn't stop when the headlines fade and not everything is visible. But, I mean, there is a lot of background work going on there with respect to the Cabinet Committee and, in delivering on our commitment that the people of the North Shore won't walk this road alone. So
yeah, there's no question that was the number one for me too. I was expecting to hear from you, so good on you for that. But is everything happening to your constituents, contentment? Like, is everything happening fast enough? We know there have been, we're coming on another year here, and some people have said, it's the wheels are moving a little too slow for them. Have you heard that, or what are you hearing from them? People affected. Yeah,
with respect to that front, it's the Cabinet Committee just announced the extension of the rent subsidy for those that are taking avail of it. I mean, this will give us the time to implement a long-term solution so that we're going to be able to meet the needs of the people of the area as well. I mean, one of the biggest things I heard of was about the loss of the school. I believe it was about. I would say it was a month ago today. Actually, it was 13th of February.
Yeah.
That Minister Dean was on CBC Morning, and he said that our government's intention is to replace the school. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure he said that on VOCM. I'm pretty sure he said that on VOCM too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, So I mean, that was one of the major concerns we heard was about the school, and and I understood where they're coming from. I mean, if you don't have a school, I mean, there wouldn't really be much there to attract younger families to the area, right?
That's
right.
You've
got students now who have to get on a bus 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, to go to school in Beta Verde, right? So it's a logistical thing as well, right? So
yep. Sooner we get that fixed up. Look, it's a trial in the mornings anyway to get up and get ready for school. Some of us had the luxury of a trip just down the road or across town. Others, an hour, 45 minutes on a bus. We don't know it until we've had to do it. And it's a little white knuckleish for families and parents, on the roads these days. So, yeah, great point there, too. The new school can't come fast enough. Riley Balsam, thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it. Sorry we didn't have more time, but I know this is not going to be your last call to Open Line. So
definitely not. No, I'll definitely be calling again.
Thanks for your time today, and don't be a stranger. Take care.
All right. Thanks. You too.
Okay. All right, Riley Balsam there. That does it for today and for the week. David Williams, yeoman's work back there behind the glass this week. What can I say, folks? Enjoy the Paddy's Day weekend. I know a lot of things will wait till Tuesday, the actual day, but there's lots going on this weekend. So be careful out there. And, of course, if you're partying hardy, call a cab, as you know. And, just one more thing. Big one tonight. Canada versus U.S. World Baseball Classic. That's going to be a dandy. Right, Sarah? Right, Sarah. Sarah Stickland standing by with the news. Drive safely, everyone. Arrive alive. VOCM cares.
This is the VOCM Radio Network. Stingray radio stations heard around the province and around the world at VOCM.com and through the Stingray Music app. This is your VOCM.
This VOCM News is brought to you by Horizon Laminates, your local countertop manufacturer, right here in Newfoundland.
VOCM at noon is brought to you by Jungle Gyms. Try the new $13 lunch today. Big flavor, small price. Only at Jungle Gyms.
This is Newfoundland and Labrador's news leader. VOCM. Local news. now.
At 12 noon, we have cloudy skies, a little bit of drizzle out there at times. The temperature is at 11. Winds still pretty gusty, gusts up to 80 over at the airport. Good afternoon. I'm Sarah Strickland, and this is the Friday edition of VOCM at noon. In our news today,
right above my head is the kitchen upstairs to the restaurant, and I could hear things hitting the floor. So I knew that, there's a fire up there, and it's probably going to be pretty bad.
That's Jim Parsons, the man who owns the building that houses the Landings Pub and Eatery in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's. We will hear from him in the aftermath of that devastating fire earlier this week. The unemployment rate is up 2 ticks to 6.7% for the month of February. We'll have the data from StatsCan. And another member of the Bragg Guju rink is moving on after 15 years. Plus, we'll have a look at the weather forecast heading into the weekend and a look at sports. But first in our news, the owner of the Landings Eatery and Pub in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's, is planning to rebuild after fire consumed the building earlier this week. The blaze broke out Tuesday morning, prompting the evacuation of nearby homes because of the heavy smoke. 4 fire departments responded, and ferry service between the Cove and Bell Island was interrupted for several hours. The restaurant occupied the top floor, and a food processing facility to prepare ready-to-eat meals was in the works for the lower portion. Property owner Jim Parsons says one of his customers was going to be the School Lunch Association, as the food would have been local and a healthier option for kids.
A couple of years ago, the federal government of Canada put out a nationwide school meal program where it was kind of a farm-to-plate concept where the kids would eat much healthier food. Much healthier in the sense that it's not ultra-processed or we import a lot of this food right now. But we were looking at a whole movement of local food, healthy food. And we were just on the verge of opening it.
About 24 people are now out of a job. Insurance was carried. Stats Canada says employment came in sharply lower than expected in February as a surprise drop of 84,000 jobs pushed the unemployment rate up 2 ticks to 6.7%. Canadian press reporter Michelle Zadikian has the details.
The agency says last month's job losses were concentrated among youth and men between the ages of 25 and 54, with decreases coming largely from full-time and private sector work. The sharp drop in jobs came after 25,000 positions were lost in January, offsetting some of the employment gains in the economy last fall. The wholesale and retail trade sector led February's losses in the services side of the economy, though goods-producing sectors like construction and manufacturing also shed positions. Michelle Zedikian, The Canadian Press.
The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says 1.3 million temporary work permits are set to expire this year, and they are worried about what that could mean for businesses locally. Jonathan Galgay, who handles legislative matters for the CFIB, says at the end of this month alone, there will be over 300,000 permits set to expire across the nation. From a Newfoundland and Labrador perspective, he says in 2024, there were around 5,000 permit holders here, and 2/3 of those were under the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. Galgay stresses that many of the jobs are being filled through the program out of necessity.
Fill gaps where local skilled labor isn't available in Newfoundland and Labrador. So many of all the people who are hired under the program, there is a necessity because there are gaps in the province for people to fill those positions.
Galgay says a change in federal government policy has created the situation, so the onus is on them.
Calling for immediate measures by the federal government to ensure that these changes do not take effect as they are supposed to happen. The economic fallout for Newfoundland and Labrador and the country could be massive. You take a small community, or it could be a busy store in the capital city. If you have a loss of workers who fall under the program, who are going to fill the positions?
The price of gas and other fuels has gone haywire as the cost of a barrel of oil has soared since the war in the Persian Gulf broke out. Just how much we will be paying at the pumps in the future is a tough guess, but analysts agree that the longer the war goes on, the longer we will have to endure. That $60 that you put in your vehicle a couple of weeks ago will cost you about $72 today. Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis for Gas Buddy, says nobody is immune with the cost of gas gone up by about 18 cents a litre in Canada. Diesel has cracked the $2 mark. The world uses about 100 million barrels a day, and about 20 million of that will go through the Strait of Hormuz, which has effectively been closed by Iran.
As long as the situation persists in the Middle East, I do think that we will see prices move higher. The biggest question is how high they can go. And really at this point, there's no cap. We could see prices getting closer to $2, though I'd hope we wouldn't see that yet for gasoline. Diesel prices may even approach $2.25 to $2.35 if things don't quickly improve.
The Bank of Canada sets its key lending rate next Wednesday, its main mission being to control inflation, which gets a little tougher when fuel prices go up. The opposition Liberals believe the Churchill Falls MOU is dead and that the PCs are taking the cowardly approach. The MOU has been under an independent review set to be complete by the end of April. In the House of Assembly this week, Energy and Mines Minister Lloyd Parrott said government interpreted the election day result as the people of Newfoundland and Labrador deciding they didn't want the MOU. Liberal leader John Hogan believes Parrott is waiting for the independent review committee to tell them what he wants to hear.
I think it signifies that he would like to kill it, and that doesn't surprise me in the least. Again, I've asked him questions about it. I've written him letters. He refuses to answer them, maybe because he doesn't really want to tell Newfoundlanders and Labradorians that he wants to kill the deal. They want this three-person panel to kill the deal on their behalf, and that's cowardly.
Government has not yet said it would kill the MOU. Proposed policy changes that would impact the delivery of the $10 a day childcare program made their way to the floor of the legislature yesterday. A consultation process with those in the childcare sector is currently ongoing regarding the operating grant program. Liberal leader John Hogan says letters have been circulating to parents which indicate that the changes could lead to government not renewing the $10 a day program. Hogan asked Education Minister Paul Dinn for an update so that children can keep their child care spaces.
We're trying to clean up a mess that was left to us with this Canada-wide early childhood care learning program. We have money contracts that have been signed.
Order, please. Shh. Did you hear me say order?
We have an agreement that was signed that does not address the needs in this province. It's underestimated the number of child care positions that are needed. We're going to try and fix that. It's going to take some time.
Time has expired. Yeah. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Speaker. And I think the Minister, when families hear about that they think it's a mess that their children are in childcare so they could go to work and deliver good early childhood education for children in this province, and to call it a mess, I think you'll be hearing from the Minister will be hearing from a lot of parents on that.
Teachers in the K-12 system believe that the new government has had enough time in its mandate to deliver some concrete initiatives on class size and school safety. Education Minister Paul Dinn has had talks with stakeholders but is making no commitments in that regard. NLTA President Dale Lamb says education was not much of a priority in the speech from the throne, so he's hoping that was not an indication of what's to come.
And we haven't seen anything actionable. They're very, easy things that were promised in the election that could be actioned, but they're not yet. So it's time now for us to see that commitment and the follow-through that government can provide.
The Department of Transportation and Infrastructure says everything is on track for the final phase of the Team Gouju Highway to be completed later this year. Work has been steady in the Brookfield Road area since the $30 million contract for its construction was signed in September of 2024. In a statement to VOCM News, government says work on the highway has been progressing well and they are on track for completion in the fall. Another member of the Bragg Gouju rink is moving on. The skip put the broom in the closet after the Brier and St. John's, and Jeff Walker, who has been part of the team for 15 years, says all good things eventually come to an end. Walker says winning the Brier in St. John's in 2017 is a memory that he will never forget, and having the opportunity to play one final time last week made it even more special. Walker, who thanked fans for their support over the years in a post to social media, did not indicate where he would land. Mark Nichols and Brendan Botcher are the other two members of the foursome, but neither has given any indication of what's next. There is more snow on the way for parts of the island this weekend, just as a big melt took care of that record February snowfall. Environment Canada says the eastern half of the island, including the Avalon Peninsula, could be in for up to 15 centimeters of snow beginning Saturday night. Dale Foote, a meteorologist at the Gander Weather Office, says winds won't be significantly high, but at 40 to 60 kilometers an hour, it could cause some blowing snow.
Into Saturday night into Sunday, we do have another low-pressure center that's approaching from the Maritimes, and with that, we have a special weather statement out.
Many Canadian travelers have opted for alternative March break destinations this year as unrest and violence disrupt tourism in some of the more traditionally popular and affordable destinations. Here's Diana Messina for the Canadian Press.
Travel agents in the Greater Toronto Area say some people are choosing to go to new countries while others are deciding not to travel this March break. Cuba's economic and political uncertainty, the fear of violence in Mexico, and the impact of a devastating hurricane in Jamaica have forced many Canadians to change their vacation plans. Instead, travel agents say people are booking trips to Florida, Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, and some Caribbean islands. Diana Messina, the Canadian Press.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has a meeting set up with King Charles on Monday. Carney is scheduled to arrive in London, England over the weekend following his Norway trip. While there, he will meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. A senior government official says they're planning to talk about the situation in the Middle East and the war in Ukraine. Whiskey is distilled all over the world, but for one man who is renowned in that industry, there is nothing like what's being made in Canada. Dr. Don Livermore, recently named as the 2025 World Master Blender of the Year, was in St. John's yesterday for an event at the Gypsy Tea Room. Livermore is the first Canadian to receive the distinction. He believes it brings awareness to the work being done in this country.
I think the bar is already high on Canadian whiskey. I think it's actually bringing the awareness to the quality, and the whiskey makers here in Canada are some of the world's best. And I think it just highlights what we've been doing so well for so long already.
Livermore praises the Canadian style of whiskey and the freedom he has in the way he brews it.
They don't tell me how to age it and what type of wood. They don't tell me what type of grain and using mash bills. They don't tell me how to distill it in certain ways, which other whiskey categories do. In Canada, they live the innovation to the master blender. So I can be very creative, and I think it really matches us as Canadians. We're very innovative and a diverse nation, and we can make very diverse styles of whiskey here in Canada, and it shows. I mean, there's so many different flavors and kinds of things we can do, and it's a wonderful part of it. I wouldn't want to be a master blender anywhere else other than Canada for the great things that we can do here.
And now taking a look at the VOCM question of the day at VOCM.com. Do you agree with the provincial government's decision to reduce the amount of money allotted in this year's roads plan? Yes, no, or as long as it doesn't come at the expense of public safety. Those are your options over at VOCM.com under the question of the day. Time now 12:15 on this Friday afternoon. Coming up next, I'll have a look at your full provincial weather forecast. I'm Sarah Strickland, and this is VOCM at noon.
Imagine your dream kitchen brought to life at Horizon Laminates, Newfoundland's only complete countertop manufacturing and fabrication facility. Choose from stunning quartz options and locally made laminate countertops with over 100 laminate colors in stock. Now, Horizon Laminates also offers a wide selection of backsplash tiles, sinks, and faucets. Everything you need to transform your space, all under one roof. Visit the spacious showroom at 47 Sagona Avenue, Donovan's Industrial Park, and see the difference local craftsmanship makes. Horizon Laminates, where your vision becomes reality.
Jungle Jim's Envelope of Fortune is back. Get your hands on a top secret envelope that's packed with free food prizes. We're talking wings, taquitos, jungle bugs, heck, we're even throwing in the kitchen sink. With over $3.8 million in free food prizes, every envelope's a winner. Plus, every time you dine in, your party scores another envelope for your next visit. Wow! So what are you waiting for? Jungle Jim's Envelope of Fortune, where every envelope's a winner.
Swing into Jungle Jim's. After a full week of working 9 to 5, it's time to kick back and relax with the golden age of country. Join Brian O'Connell Saturday nights from 7 till 1 for the Cabin Party on your VOCM. Get lost in heartfelt ballads from Conway Twitty and Willie Nelson, or shake some boots to the sounds of Brooks and Dunn, Shania Twain, and more. The Cabin Party on your VOCM.
Brought to you by East Coast Kia, home of the 5-year comprehensive warranty.
Newfoundland and Labrador's tech sector is booming, and Academy Canada can help you join in. Our Information Systems Specialist program offers hands-on training in network implementation and support, from desktop to cloud systems, all in under 2 years. Plus, thanks to our transfer agreement with College of the North Atlantic, you can advance your education even further by bridging your diploma to their Bachelor of Applied Information Technology in Systems and Network Cybersecurity. Visit academycanada.com today and come take your place.
Welcome to Orem Homes, St. John's newest seniors personal care home and independent living, where all-inclusive living means more of what you love. Catch a movie in our theater with friends, enjoy a fresh coffee in Rita's Cafe, cheer on your team in the Clubhouse Sports Bar, or unwind with a good book in the library. Here, comfort meets community, and every detail is taken care of. Call today to reserve your suite, 709-533-3321. Orem Homes, St. John's, the best place to live.
Unhandy hotline.
I want to fix my leaky pipes. Think I can do it myself?
Maybe. Got the right parts and tools?
I need parts and tools?
Need a shopping list?
Oh, man, now I gotta buy stuff? Can't I just tighten something with the wrench?
Oh, you have a wrench.
Well, no.
Okay, so according to our calculations, you are unhandy.
What? Just because I don't have tools, or parts, or experience? Unbelievable.
Mr. Reuter, honest and non-judgmental plumbing services for unhandy people.
This VOCM weather is brought to you by Vogue Optical, where your second pair is always free. Let Vogue Optical arrange your next eye exam today. Trust us, your eyes will thank you.
St. John's Metro, rest of the Avalon, cloudy with some drizzle this afternoon. The worst of the rain is over and done with. Southwesterly winds at 70, except gusting to 100 along the coast. Temperature will drop to +3 this afternoon. Cloudy with the skies clearing up overnight. Westerly winds at 50 and a low of -5. Sun and cloud for tomorrow, high +1, and snow on Sunday, windy and a high of -2. Clarenville, central Newfoundland, rain changing to snow this afternoon, the temperature falling to -2. Flurries will end this evening, then clear skies. Westerlies will gust to 80 this evening, but will drop down overnight, low of -9. Sun and cloud tomorrow, high -1. Flurries on Sunday, high -4. For the south coast, rain changing to flurries, westerlies gusting to 80, the temperature falling to +2. Flurries ending overnight, westerly winds at 40, low -5. Sun and cloud for tomorrow, westerly winds 30, high of +3, and snow on Sunday with a high of +1. For the west coast, southwest coast, northern peninsula, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow and ice pellets, westerly winds at 50, temperature down to -6. Flurries should end overnight, westerly winds 40, a low of -8. Sun and cloud tomorrow, high -2. And on Sunday, periods of snow with a high of -2. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow today, northerlies 30, high -11. Light snow this evening, then clearing overnight, low -24. On the weekend, sunshine, high -11. For Labrador West, mainly cloudy this afternoon, high -17. Clear skies tonight, low -35. The wind chill -45. And on the weekend, sunshine, high -13. And the north coast, sunny breaks for today, northerlies at 30 and a high of -16. Clear skies tonight, northwesterly winds at 30, low -24. Sunny tomorrow, westerly winds 30, high -15, and on Sunday, sunshine with a high of -13. Right now in St. John's, we have mostly cloudy skies, maybe a little bit of drizzle. Temperature is at 11. Winds are gusting to 80 over at the airport. Sports News is up next. This is VOCM at noon.
Coming up, your VOCM Sports Update. Get the latest in scores, headlines, and schedules from your local teams to the big leagues.
The next Lotto Max jackpot is an estimated $30 million. How would you dream to the max if you won?
I'd take my friends to a ball game at every major league stadium.
Now that's dreaming to the max. Get your ticket today. Must be 19 or over.
Going out on your snowmobile? Mind the line. Avoid riding along pole lines. Stay aware of your surroundings and watch out for poles and guy wires. And from all of us here at Newfoundland Power, stay safe out there this winter.
In sports, it was all going on last night in the NHL, and for the first time in forever, the Toronto Maple Leafs are back in the win column, beating Anaheim 6-4. Elsewhere, we had there's a lot going on here, so bear with me. Calgary beating New Jersey 5-4. The Rangers get a 6-3 win over Winnipeg. Dallas beats Edmonton 7-2. Vancouver picking up the extra point over Nashville 4-3 in the shootout. Florida beats Columbus 2-1 in OT. Washington gets a 2-1 win over Buffalo. Tampa Bay beating Detroit 4-1. St. Louis beating Carolina 3-1. San Jose tops Boston 4-2. Philadelphia and Minnesota 3-2. That one goes to the shootout, and the Flyers come out with the victory there. Chicago beats Utah 3-2. That one went to overtime. Colorado gets a 5-1 win over Seattle, and Vegas beats Pittsburgh 6-2. All that last night, and only 2 games on tap tonight. It's Los Angeles and the Islanders, 8:30 our time, 8 o'clock in most of Labrador. And at 9:30, it's Edmonton and St. Louis. In the NBA, Phoenix taking on the Toronto Raptors. That one goes 9 o'clock our time, 8:30 in most of Labrador. And of course, the World Baseball Classic tonight, 9:30. It's the United States and Canada in the quarterfinals. So the first time that Canada has made it this far in the 20-year history of the WBC. Elsewhere, it's South Korea and the Dominican Republic going head-to-head. That one is at 8 o'clock our time, 7:30 in most of Labrador. That is a look at sports. I'm Sarah Strickland. This has been VOCM at noon.
This Provincial Road Report is brought to you by Robbins. Fuel for you, not just your car. Mix and match 2 breakfast faves for just $6. Easy, tasty, and road trip approved for a limited time at participating locations across the province. Robbins, fast, fresh, and friendly.
On the Avalon Peninsula, the rain has eased, but you still may find some water buildup in some places, so just be mindful of that. As you get across the island, roads bear wet for the most part. However, the the northern peninsula, northeast coast, and the west coast, we have snow cover, slippery for the most part. South coast, water buildup, same thing, got to watch for. In Labrador, Red Bay to Lodge Bay is closed. Equipment can't operate. Snow covered elsewhere.
Guess what? There's an alternative to long wait times at big box stores for your building supplies. Powers is your locally owned building supply company in the heart of the city on Rope Walk Lane. The Power Brothers have the big brands in paint, doors, windows, flooring, trim, and so much more to make your renovations quick and easy. When you stop at Powers, you won't feel like you went on an excursion because they help you load and go with what you want. Call 722-1720 or visit them on Facebook. That's Powers on Rope Walk Lane.
Do you have a caring heart and want to make a real difference? TLC Nursing and Home Care is hiring carers across Newfoundland and Labrador. Whether you're helping a neighbor or supporting a family, your work matters, and so do you. Enjoy steady hours, great benefits, and a team that treats you with respect. Inquire today at tlcnursingandhomecare.com. TLC Nursing and Home Care, supporting you while you care for others.
Persons with disabilities are choosing Hancock Financial Solutions for their registered disability savings plans.
If you or a family member has a disability, I recommend that you phone Dion today. They really made a difference in our lives.
Open an RDSP today. For more, call 709-634-0071 or HancockFinancialSolutions.ca. Hancock Financial Solutions, in your home, in your community.
Mutual funds offered through Investia Financial Services.
At Eastlink, we know they will click that link.
Mom?
Yep, that one. Eastlink's internet security. For every click, for free. Part of our Wi-Fi guarantee. Conditions apply.
When we help our neighbors, it makes us all stronger. The VOCM Cares Foundation invests in local charities to help with disaster relief, healthcare, children's needs, food banks, and more. We fund charities that strengthen our communities, that bring us together and help us take care of each other. Your donation to the VOCM Cares Foundation is a gift to your community, because in Newfoundland and Labrador, we care about our neighbors. To learn more or to make a donation, please visit vocmcares.com.
News as it happens on VOCM, VOCM.com, and at VOCM News on Twitter. Stay up to date with your VOCM.
This is VOCM's Newfoundland and Labrador Today.
26 minutes after 12 on this Friday afternoon. Well, in our news today, it's been in our news all week, but a bit of an update for you now. The owner of the Landings Eatery and Pub in Portugal Cove, St. Phillips, is planning to rebuild after fire consumed the building this week. The blaze broke out on Tuesday morning, prompting the evacuation of nearby homes because of the heavy smoke. 4 fire departments responded, and the ferry service between the Cove and Bell Island was interrupted for several hours. Property owner Jim Parsons was on VOCM Open Line with guest host Brian Callahan earlier this morning.
I had been working for the last couple of years on a food processing area downstairs. I immediately went in there, checked everything. Everything was good. There was no smoke, no anything. I went over to what's the cold storage area. Looked in there, nothing. And right above my head is the kitchen upstairs to the restaurant, and I could hear things hitting the floor. So I knew that, there's a fire up there, and it's probably going to be pretty bad. So when I ran back out the door, Danny from the restaurant was pulling into the parking lot. I said, it's in the kitchen, it's in the kitchen. And I was thinking that there's fire extinguishers in the kitchen, and I was figuring that we could maybe have a crack at this, because other than that, there was nothing else going on. So Danny opened the door very quickly. We ran in, and we were met with smoke. As soon as you go into Landings, you go up the staircase, and it was just thick black smoke, choking smoke. And we could tell that, it was well underway in the kitchen, and we had no choice but to just, get back out of it. And you just, at this point, then it's despair, there's a whole, it's shock, you're panicking. All of this occurred, and that was it. We had to back away. Within minutes, the fire department showed up. I know that once they got their hoses connected and stuff, they went into the building. They had to come back out. They said it was too hot, and then they changed to a ground approach, I guess. And for the next 12 hours, it was just surreal just to watch it. The fire spread through the building, and it was just terrible. It was horrible.
I guess the first thought is people, no injuries. That had to be the first, but in the midst of it, obviously that was for your first thought, but it doesn't take away from the monumental loss here. In the moment, of course, as you just said, the range of thoughts. How do you compartmentalize it now in your brain? Like, it's been a few days later. What does this all mean to you?
Well, for me, I've had building for many, many years, and in the last 3 or 4 years, it was a fish plant at one time. I operated a fish plant down there for 10 years, and in the last 10 years, I turned to, first of all, a restaurant upstairs that I started. It was called Landing Seafood House. And then in the last 3 or 4 years, I went back to what was the fish plant, and we completely stripped it and put in all new electrical, all new processing gear. We were about to go processing food, and that would have been food that would be all local from various farmers and growers of food, and we were going to turn it into ready-to-eat meals, and for it to be local and healthy,